What's up, one man and his detector? Your first this time, huh? Yeah, I had a student already come up to me, but he has class right now, so he asked me how long I was gonna be here. Hey, what's up, Tony? Give me 1 second. 2460. Yeah, I was saying, I already had a student come up to the table and he asked me how long I was gonna be here, because apparently he has class right now, but he wants to see what this is about. So after class, I'm assuming within an hour he should be back. So that should be one conversation right there for sure. I'm actually in the middle of the campus today. I'm like right next to the food court. Food court's on that side, and then there's like a big tower here with a clock. It's like I think this is like the center of the campus where I'm at. Um, the yeah, I'm at UCR today. Yeah, back again at UCR. Yeah, it's the closest university to my house. Well, besides the San Bernardino, Cal State, but yeah, that one's kind of empty most of the time when I go. Like, there's not a lot of foot traffic. But yeah, this university is way bigger. So yeah, this is the one I will be coming more often. That's for sure. Yeah, we'll see if anybody wants to have a chat. There's like two other tables set up where I'm at. Um, One of them has to do with music society or something, and the other one's like a alpha thing. I don't know, like a sorority thing. I don't know. Yeah, I think at the other spot where I was at last time in the last video, that was kind of like an entrance and an exit. So I think that spot's gonna be better. But I'm not sure. That's why I came here to check it out, see how it goes. Yeah, I want to have like 2 or 3 spots where I set up here at the university. I don't want to just set up in one spot. So that's why I'm trying out this new spot, and hopefully we get a couple of conversations.
I don't know how you make a story out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tony. Hey, what's up? Mm, Michael, Leon. What's up? What's up? What's up, Shifty Eyes? Let me make sure I got these lined up. There we go. Yeah, I think so. I think we're good here. Yeah, hopefully it picks up. It's 1:20 p.m. right now. It's supposed to be like in the mid 60s today. Hey.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
So, yeah, so I have 3 very easy questions, and I want to see if people could get 2 of 3.
Okay.
But it have to do with common sense. So, do you trust your common sense?
No.
You don't trust your common sense? I mean, if you don't trust your common sense, what are you going to trust? It's what's kept you alive this whole time, right?
Theoretically speaking, yeah.
You know, I mean, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
you're alive now. I mean,
This is
you know
true.
what I'm saying? All right, so the first one's the hardest, but then they get easier. Right?
Okay.
So I have 2 images here, and the reason I call them images is because one of them's a photograph and one of them's a painting. So I want to see if people can tell the difference.
I'm going to say that this is the photograph and this is the painting.
All right, so it was actually a trick question. They're both paintings.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't expect people to get this one, obviously, because it's impossible to tell. You know, nobody could get it. I couldn't get it. You know, but there is 2 reasons why I asked this question. They have to do with common sense. The first reason is just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, right? Because you believe me that one's a photograph, that influences your choice. So it's not good to just believe someone. That's my point. Especially when it comes to determining something is real. And which leads me to the second point. If we want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough, because if I show you an image of me flying or me walking on water, would you believe I could do those things?
No.
No, because it defies physics, right? Especially if an image defies physics, you have to throw the image away. So these next 2 actually have to do with physics, elementary physics. They actually have to do with water.
Okay.
So, okay, we agreed once water is contained, for example, like in this bottle, you know, water always seeks its lowest point. In other words, it always goes to the bottom, because I could turn the bottle upside down, but water always goes down. You know,
Okay,
that's a fact of water, you know, in the physics of water. So since we understand that fact about
The
water,
physics of gravity.
yeah, that it always goes down. So I actually painted the water blue with food coloring to make it easier. But since we understand that water always goes down, how I'm showing you these 2 images, which one is upside down?
Well, I wouldn't say that one is necessarily upside down.
One
but
is actually
one
upside
is
down. How I'm
upside
showing
down.
them to you, because if we understand water always goes down, so which one is upside down from these 2? How I'm showing them to
Well,
you.
if you're saying the water's blue,
Yeah.
then that one is upside down. Then that one's right side up and that one's
There
upside
you
down.
go, you got it. Yeah, you got it. This one's upside down because obviously the water can't stick to the
Yeah.
top of it. I took this one like that, holding it up to the ceiling. So you got it,
Okay.
you got it. So you do trust your common sense, you see? So this last one, it's even easier. So have you ever heard of the term water always finds its level?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? What could be another word for level if we had to use a different word?
Equal.
Equal? Could we say horizontal?
Sure.
That's actually the proper definition for level, you know, horizontal, because it's not a slope, right? So since we understand the simple fact
We
about
took
water.
into the humanity.
Okay, perfect. So since we understand, you know, the definition of level and how water behaves, which one of these 2 represents level correctly? Since we understand what level means and how water behaves and always finds its level. Which one represents correct? A or B? It's very elementary level. It's common sense.
These are the plumb lines. This is the bottom.
Yeah, this is the
gravity.
water. This is the water level.
Mhm.
So since we understand, you know, how water, like, say we had a giant pool or a giant lake.
Well,
and how-
it depends on what the. Yeah, well, then this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what, you know, that's the, you know, surface of a lake, right? You know, so the real reason I do this, and I think you almost thought about it, is because over 95% of the population have been tricked, you know, in my opinion, to believing this is the answer, and even though we know it's this one. You want to know how we were tricked?
How are we tricked?
Do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah, I believe that it's round.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, right? So they
Uh-huh.
need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're going around it, supposedly. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. And if you multiply that times 2, we get the diameter. And if you multiply the diameter times pi, we get the circumference. So the circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles, what they're telling us. So there needs to be curvature every mile. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop. Second mile is a 32-inch. And by the third mile, it should be a 6-foot drop. And it has to increase every mile because it's not a slope. They're telling us it's a curve, right? So by the 10th mile, there should be 66 feet of curvature. But since we understand how water behaves and what level means, if we actually went out to a giant lake and build a level structure over it just to measure for this curvature, it should be dipping 6 feet in 3 miles. So if we start at 5 feet, the gap should increase to 11 feet. But if we actually did this experiment, the water's going to be parallel to the level structure, because that's the physics of water. It always finds its level. So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe. So have you ever heard of people that don't believe in the globe or flat Earth, right? You've heard of that. How long ago did you hear about flat Earth, if you mind me asking?
Well, that the last time it was like widely believed would have been before Galileo.
Right, I heard of it. So what will be the #1 proof that convinces you or that makes you believe that it's a ball? If you don't mind me asking.
I put my faith in the people that do the sciences.
I'm glad
that
you
do
used
it.
that word faith, because actually it has to do with faith. It's a belief structure. If you ask me, the heliocentric model, if you ask me, is no different than any other religion. Why? Because it's backed by belief. So you believe that they actually did these experiments, right? And they actually figured it out, but in reality, they're just theories. So it's just somebody's imagination, basically, based on what they see. You know what I'm saying? But if we actually went out to measure, it's gonna fall apart.
No, I don't think it's a theory, because there are very smart people that have. I don't understand the physics and the science of it.
Yeah.
But I know that it's there.
Okay. Do you know Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No.
Oh, you don't know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is? Oh, okay. So he's a famous astrophysicist, the most famous, actually. If you look him up, he'll come up everywhere. He even admits himself that gravity is just a theory, and he doesn't even know what it is. So what they do is, you've heard of 9.8 meters per second, how they measure that's the rate in which things drop. That's what they measure. So they're measuring the effect of things falling, not the cause that made it fall. Does that make sense? So I don't deny that things do fall because of something is causing it to fall, but the theory of gravity, of pulling it down, it's not true, basically. So there's something else going on that's making things drop. But again, what they measure was the speed, how long it took for that object to drop. You know what I'm saying? So there is such thing called terminal velocity.
Yeah.
118 miles per hour. So things only drop at a certain rate, and so again, we're measuring speed. It has nothing to do with what's causing it to drop. And I would say gravity is kind of a red herring, because it has nothing to do with physically measuring the Earth. It's just that why things fall is a separate discussion to the geometry of the Earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So,
But what's your point?
So my point is that we're being lied to. Our kids are being lied to. Well, I don't know if you have children, but I have children.
I don't have children.
Yeah, we're basically, everybody's being lied to. I was lied to as a child. I mean, we're all told we live on a ball.
So you believe the Earth is flat?
Well, I don't believe. I go with physics. So I go with what physics shows me. So if somebody else could show me something otherwise.
This only works over a short distance. This works for the length of your table.
Right. Do you know?
But if you extend it over miles and miles.
That's why I said a lake. There's lakes that are over 20 miles across. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
All we need is a lake that's only 4 miles across, 3 miles for this experiment. And that water should be bending. And we understand water doesn't do that. Like in your cup, in your bath, it doesn't matter the scale.
Yeah, but that's the same way, like if you're asking me to tell if something's level and it's that long, versus if you're asking me to tell if something's level and it's that long. The longer something is, the easier it is to
Right,
tell.
I understand that. I understand where you're coming from, because, but so what you're saying is that you have faith.
I'm just gonna check then.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm actually here.
Didn't land on the moon.
Well, I would say that's kind of a red herring again. When
And
it
the
comes
moon is
The
round or flat?
The moon is round, but nobody actually knows what it is, other than just the luminary in the sky. So the sun and the moon, they do tell us that, because they look the same size, right, the same diameter, they do tell us that the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but coincidentally, 400 times further away. So that's why they look like they're the same size. That's what they tell us, right? But it's just a story, if you ask me. Nobody's actually measured the distance to the luminaries.
And so what's your affiliation with UCR?
Oh, I have no affiliation.
Oh, you're just here
Yeah, I'm just here.
asking
Yeah, just asking questions, because this topic is being censored online, and the way they're censoring it is they're ridiculing it. They're just dismissing it and just basically dismissing it and talking smack, basically. So I'm just here to represent the facts. You know what I'm saying? So, and I want to see if anybody.
Or your perception of the facts.
Well, it's what physics shows me. I mean, if you believe water bends at a certain distance, then it's up to that person, NASA specific, because they're a big company that get billions of dollars, to prove that. So building a level structure over a lake like this and showing that it curves at 6 feet in 3 miles and 66 feet in 10 miles, which 66 feet is like a 6-story building. There's no, you should be able to measure that curvature, that drop in 10 miles. You know what I'm saying? And again, it just keeps increasing. The more out you go, the more curvature there should be.
Your building's only going to be level.
So we're building it
based on it being on a level structure.
So our reference point will be a plumb line. You know what a plumb line is, right? Yeah. So we'll build 90 degrees from this plumb line, and we'll stay relevant to the first plumb line, so that we know we're building level to the first plumb line. So what the Earth should do from that point is curve away from the structure. Does that make sense? It's very easy, very elementary. There's a reason why nobody's talking about this in the mainstream, because it's very easy to understand.
Okay.
But thanks for talking to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with it.
Yeah. Thank you. That went well. That wasn't that bad. Yeah, I know. A lot of people do think that locally it's level, but then after miles it should start curving. That's what people, and most people think that it's just inches that it curves in miles. I believe people think that it's like millimeters in miles for some reason. They just think it's so narrow, like the curvature, like that it's not even, it shouldn't even be measurable. That's what they believe, but it should be measurable, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad that's true, and I'm glad she said that she has faith in the beginning. That's actually pretty cool. She at least admitted that it's based on faith and not her primary knowledge. To be honest, Martin Haley, the water not bending, for some reason I didn't understand it at first. Like, it didn't click at first, but once it clicks, it's like, holy shit. It's like, you cannot understand it at that point. It's, so yeah, the water is key. Understanding that the surface always levels out is key to destroying the globe. Easy. Bedford level, yeah, I've heard of the Bedford level. I know, they don't know they're wrong because it's part of the brainwashing. I mean, somebody that's brainwashed doesn't know they're brainwashed. That's what brainwashing is you believe. It's a little bit ironic because you believe you know the truth, opposed to just knowing the truth. You believe you know the truth. So I would say it's a form of brainwashing. I mean, brainwashing to me is to believe something that's not true. You've been brainwashed to believe something's not true. That's brainwashing. So to make you believe that the Earth is a ball is to make you believe something's not true. So it's brainwashing you. All right. Belief is an enemy of knowing. To know takes time and effort. Yep, that's true. What's up, Renewed Awareness? What's up, Jose? I know round does not equal sphere. I don't know why people think that too. I mean, because they're not really thinking about it. That's why. So, yeah. Oh, the moon is round and the sun is round. Like, okay, they're round. They're not a sphere. And even if they were spheres, what does that have to do with the ground? You know, I guess you know. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Want to give it a shot?
What is it?
I have 3 very easy questions, common sense questions. See if
Okay.
people can get 2 of 3.
Fucking
Yeah, there you
my
go.
lecture's not for a minute. Sorry.
So the first
How
one's the
long will it
hardest.
take? How long will it take?
2 minutes.
Oh,
very
bet.
quick,
I'm
quick,
down,
quick.
I'm down.
Okay, so very quick. The first one's the hardest, but then they get easier.
Uh-huh.
So I have 2 images, and the reason I call them images because one of them's a photograph and one of them's a painting. So I want to see if people get that.
I think this is a photograph and that's a painting.
All right. So it's actually a trick question. They're both paintings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't expect people to get this one right because it's impossible to tell.
Yeah.
But there is 2 reasons why I asked this question. The first reason is just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, right? Because you'll believe me, the one's a photograph that influences your choice. So it's not good to just believe someone, especially when it comes to determining something is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second reason, if we want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough because if I showed you an image of me flying or me walking on water, would you believe I could do those things?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, especially if the image defies physics. You know, you can't trust an image. So these next 2 actually have to do with water, elementary physics.
Okay.
So once water is contained, like in this bottle, for example, could we agree it always seeks the lowest point? In other words, it always goes to the bottom. Because I could turn the bottle upside down, but water always goes down. That's a fact of water, right? Since we understand that water always goes down, I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier, because water is clear and it's hard to see. But since we understand that water always goes down, how I'm showing you these 2 images, which one is upside down? Since we understand water, there you go, you got it.
I was making sure,
Yeah, there you go. I took that one like that. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was upside down. You got it. So you do trust your common sense, right? So this last one's even easier. Have you ever heard of the term "water always finds its level"?
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be another word for level if you had to use a different word?
That's a good question. I'm blanking on that. I'll go with height in some ways.
Could we say even or horizontal?
okay, yeah, I get what you're
You know what I'm
saying,
saying? Yeah, right. Horizontal is actually the proper definition for level. So, since we understand how water behaves and always finds its level, right? And what level means, which one of these 2 represents level correctly, A or B? Elementary level. When we're looking at the water.
Oh, okay. This one?
Yeah, you got it, man.
Uh-huh,
So
okay.
it's pretty easy. Yeah. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you, have been tricked to believing this is the answer, even though we know it's this one. You want to know how we were tricked?
How come?
Do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Right. So NASA in specific, you know, they tell us that the Earth, that they have satellites orbiting the
Yeah.
Earth. So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. So if we multiply that times 2, we get the diameter, and then the diameter times pi, we get the circumference. So the circumference is 24,901 miles.
Okay.
So there needs to be curvature every mile. So first mile is an 8-inch drop. Second mile, 32 inches. By the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. So if we actually went out in nature like a giant lake that was miles across, and we build a level structure over it, that lake should be bending 6 feet in 3 miles. But we understand the physics of water; it always collapses and always finds its level. So that lake is always going to be horizontal to the level.
So you're saying Earth is flat?
So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
That's
if I was to ask you real quick, what's the #1 proof that makes you believe or that?
But I will say, when you're looking at water, right?
Right.
Because if you look at the ocean, you can even see, but you're not
can't see
visible. You can't see that
past
far.
the horizon, right?
Yeah, you can't really see that far, but often it kind of looks like it's bending down.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. It's very interesting, and I feel you got to question the government, but I do believe that the Earth is not flat.
Okay, real quick though about the boats going over the horizon, because you think they're going over a curve, right? We do have a limit to our perspective.
That's just your visibility going down, yeah.
No, but yeah, so we don't have infinite vision.
Uh-huh.
So everything shrinks at a point. So if I hold an object and just move away, it's going to shrink.
Yeah.
You know, eventually to the point where
Uh-huh.
you can't see it. I think it's called the parallax effect as well.
Uh-huh.
But it has to do with perspective, meaning it's very limited. So the horizon is just the limit of our perspective. It has nothing to do with curvature.
I get you.
You know
I
what
get
I'm
what you're
saying?
saying. I
So-
feel like if I knew about the ocean, though, I'd be able to debunk this. Because do you think the NASA scientists that have been up to space, you think they're just lying?
So everything about outer space, you know, this one's really touchy for people, even more than the outer space. I don't know if you knew, it's just the concept. So the highest human beings have ever gone is 20 miles. So anything that anybody's showing you higher than that is just cartoons or CGI or
that's
GoPro.
interesting. I would disagree, but
No, so here's because the reason why I'm out here is because this information is being censored, and the way they're censoring it is they have these so-called experts or these scientists on YouTube or on the news. They don't take this seriously. They just ridicule it and dismiss it. So
I feel you.
So
it's
that's
good
why.
a question.
That's why I'm out here.
But
So
I will say with the water level on that, like there's no reason to be bending, and Earth is so big that.
well, they're telling us it's 3,959 in radius.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like the water bottle, if you just hold it like flat,
No.
then of course it'll stay level.
I
But
agree.
If you look at it from a grand perspective, then you might see the water bending down.
So you're
towards
saying,
that.
I'm glad you use you might. So you believe that the curvature is there, but
I
nobody's
will
ever
say,
measured
just
it. Or
because if it's based off the flat Earth theory, then are you saying all the other planets are flat as well?
no. So flat Earth is just a term just to kind of ridicule this as well. The Earth is level, so definitely.
So you think every other planet is level
So
too?
that's my point again. Anything that's to do with the sky, the luminaries, the stars, nobody's been counted. So they're just making stuff up about the sky. Have you ever seen what the stars actually look like?
I'll actually disagree with that because Earth, scientists know more about the space than they do about Earth itself in the deep water.
Well, it's
So
all
it's a lot of-
theoretical about space.
But a lot of countries it's a race to space. They want to have the power because you might even think that Earth is not the most inhabitable planet right now, right? And Earth, our resources are draining, so people are looking at other planets that we could potentially inhabit in the future.
Right.
So people know a lot about space.
I mean, I've heard all the stories about space.
Because U.S. is trying to race to space.
Yeah.
Russia, China, we're putting a lot of money and resources into that. So I can see what you're saying, how maybe they're putting all these resources in, and they might know something we don't, and they're lying to us. So I'm not even saying you're false.
Right. Well, just real quick before you go, this is what the stars actually look like. Do you know the P900 camera?
No.
It has 83 times optical
Uh-huh.
zoom. It's the most powerful zoom on the market. So a lot of people have been zooming into the stars and they're bringing them into focus. And this is what they look like. It looks like they're just a light in water, twinkling, different colors. We shouldn't be able to bring them into focus like this if they're suns or planets, trillions of light years. So if you ask me, the sky, it's if anything, it's like some kind of ceiling. And the lights just, I don't know what the stars are, but
Have you
they're on
heard
the
that
ceiling.
there's millions of planets that are inhabitable just like Earth?
I heard the stories. Again, they're just stories. These things haven't
No,
been
it's
proven.
proven because
How did they prove it?
everyone else there's a bunch of galaxies with similar solar systems.
So how did they prove it?
Because you look at the solar system through cameras and you can associate the same, if they have the same chemicals as us, then they would produce the same outcomes. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
There's places that can produce water, and then there's places like Jupiter, all these places where they say life cannot exist, but there are planets where they have chemical properties and similar
That's what they
conditions.
say. I heard all the stories.
That is what they say, but I will say I hear more of that than what you're saying. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially, well, I mean, once you understand that this is being censored, you're not going to hear anything of what I'm saying on the mainstream.
But why would all the countries team up to censor it together?
So
Because wouldn't you think that one country would want to be, oh no, this is actually the truth, and there might be differing truths depending on where you live.
I'll tell you the simplest way I could tell you why they're lying to us. So all the countries are lying to us. It comes back to control, and the reason they lie to us is because. So how do you control people? Basically, this is to basically make us doubt our common sense. To basically
But why would they
dumb
want
us.
to control us?
Basic to take advantage of us.
But how would that take advantage of us?
Because have you seen how high taxes are? So basically, by us believing that there's people or experts that are smarter than us and they make us doubt our common sense, we're just going to believe everything that we're told. So how we should live, how much taxes we should pay, how much rent you should pay, we're just obeying.
But what is the difference between a flat earth and a round earth?
It has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It has to do with your common sense. So if they could get you to believe that the earth is a ball when in reality it's obviously not, then you're not using.
But you can't say that. You can't say that.
Well, that's what physics shows me. And so somebody else could show me.
No, because there's a lot of physics that will show that the Earth is also round.
Well, what physics would that be?
I would not know that, but I can guarantee that there's a lot of physics.
Well,
There's a lot of flat Earth believers, and there's a lot of scientists that actively spend their whole careers disproving that. So there has to be a lot of evidence on that side.
I've been looking for over 6 years, and there's nothing. I'm not even trolling you.
I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. But you have faith that there is. You have faith.
Because I've watched videos. Because I'm a big Kyrie Irving fan. There's a lot of people, and I know he's a flat earther. But he got that conversation going a lot, and there was a lot of dialogue that.
Why do you think he stopped talking about it?
I think Kyrie has a lot of concerns, and he even said he apologized on that.
No, but why? But he never went back on it. He just apologized that he mentioned it, But he never went back on it. But why do you think he stopped talking about it?
I don't know. But what Kyrie is saying and what you're saying, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
No, yeah.
You want these people to sense you, and I get the common sense thing, because then they're above you, and then they're living a life that...
Yeah, you're just believing everything you're told.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. That's what they want the populations, and that's how they control.
They control everybody.
Through ignorance.
No, I completely
ignorant.
get the message,
Yeah.
and I'm not even saying you're wrong,
Look,
but I just...
Look, I do have some info you could cross-reference. Don't believe me. This is the 6 main proofs that debunk the globe. Again, you could cross-reference.
What I do think about this, I'm pretty sure it has to do with the fact that the Earth is constantly rotating, and it's on a tilt, that the gravity, and you're in the atmosphere, that's how the gravity stays in.
Do you know what the tilt of the Earth is?
It's like a little bit.
The degrees that they tell us?
I don't know the degrees, but
23.4.
gravity in the atmosphere is different than gravity anywhere else.
Real quick,
So,
yeah, I'm glad you brought up gravity. You know Neil deGrasse Tyson?
mhm.
Let me just show you a 20-second clip. Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about gravity, just real quick. All right, just before you go.
No, it's good. It doesn't start till 2, but I should probably go soon.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson on gravity.
What is gravity?
I have no idea. Okay, next question. Here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
So the reason
But-
why he says he doesn't know what gravity is, because I don't know if you knew gravity is a theory. So when he says that
But
we
a
can,
lot of things are theories.
yeah. So when he says, oh, we can measure with it, we can predict with it, right? What he's talking about, I don't know if you ever heard of 9.8 meters per second, the rate in which
Yeah.
things drop. So they're measuring the effect of things dropping, which is a measurement of speed and an effect, not the cause of why it fell. So they're measuring just the observation
Just
of
the
it.
fact that it's going
falling,
down,
exactly.
yeah.
So we're just measuring how long it took for it to fall down. We're not measuring or finding out what caused it to go down, and that's why it's a theory.
Yeah.
So nobody actually knows why things drop. So why this hit the floor, nobody knows why. Not
That's
even
not true.
flat earthers know.
But
Nobody
there's
knows.
theories on a lot of science, and you can say nobody knows, but you can't factually prove a lot of things. But
No,
you can
I understand that,
theorize.
but water being level can be proven. What makes things drop cannot, but
But
water
is
being
this
level
the,
can
is
be
this the
proven.
only thing you have for
That's
Earth
the number
being
one
level?
proof. These are the 6 main proofs. Euclidean plane geometry. Have you heard of Euclidean plane geometry?
And if the Earth is level, how come when you fly around, or if you take there's people that
Yeah,
are
circumnavigate. Yeah, I'll show you real quick. So I'm pretty sure you've seen this map. I don't.
Oh,
I don't.
This is the last thing I'll say.
Yeah.
So if you believe doesn't Neil deGrasse Tyson believe that the Earth is round, and the majority of scientists?
Yeah, never.
So why do you believe science as a whole and nations? Because I understand when you say nations, but why do you believe science as a whole would want to lie to us? Because when else in history at this current time has scientists, strictly just scientists, lied to us?
Well, it's not strictly scientists, it's strictly astrophysicists, if you ask me. Because obviously science is what makes this phone work, what makes cars work, science is what will build these buildings, So science has to do with real stuff, with physics, physical stuff, literally measuring. What these astrophysicists do, they're like priests. They're just theories. They're just telling you stories about the sky. And that's
I
what
get
every
you.
other religion does. So the heliocentric model is just a religion. It's based on
Yeah.
faith. Because you believe that they did all these tests and they proved it. Here's another real quick thing.
I mean, I don't believe the test. I just believe that
they've
people
done.
have went to space and they've reported back what they've seen of Earth, and what the images they report back to Earth. I believe those images because I haven't seen any other images to prove otherwise. And I get what you're saying; they could be censoring, but there's no reason. There's a lot more evidence back in.
Yeah.
If you can say that they're lying, but there's a lot more evidence back in that the Earth is round. And
What's the number
planet-shaped.
one that besides without putting
I don't have the evidence on me right now
okay.
like this,
Right.
but for a fact, you can look up a lot of evidence proving it.
I've tried
If you
to
look up an
I've
image,
desperately
if
tried to
you-
look
if-
for proof
if-
of the globe. Like, trust me.
If you look up an image of Google Maps,
Yeah.
it'll show the globe.
I mean, a
And
digital-
but Google Maps doesn't lie about anything.
Well,
But is
if
that-
you ever zoom out with Google Maps, it gets to a point where it actually switches to a cartoon and it goes from level to warp. Like I've seen how Google Maps works. It's basically
But no,
it's
it
just
just
a
changes the
projection.
image.
It's just a
Yeah.
projection. That's my point. So they could do whatever they want with that projection. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, though, I want a physical measurement of in
So
reality.
why are the seasons different in America and Australia?
So real
if the
quick,
Earth is level?
I'm glad you brought up circumnavigation, and it has to do with the seasons. With this map, I'll explain both. So circumnavigation, right? This is not what the Earth looks like, in my opinion, but this is what it would look like if they're actually telling us the truth about all the continents that exist. So South America's right here, Africa's right here, North America. So everything's just spread out. So here's
North?
no. So if Antarctica actually exists, like they're saying, like an island.
But this is well, why? So
So the north is the
where's-
center point.
Where's India? This
Oh, it's
would
over
be-
here somewhere.
So this is California.
Yeah, California's over here.
So how is California that close to India?
So-
What are they doing in the flight? Do you think they're lying to us about the flight?
No. So if you look at flight patterns and you put them on a globe projection and you put them on this, they make perfect sense on this because planes only fly in straight lines. They only
But
fly
I'm
in straight
saying it would take it takes nearly a day. This would not take a day.
Real quick. You should say circumnavigation, right? Let me just get that point across. So in this map, the north is the center of the Earth. So that's the north. So if your compass is pointing north, east and west will just be left and right. So when you go east and west, it just circles around the north. That's what east and west are. I don't know if you knew, nobody's ever circumnavigated the Earth south to north. Or
But
north
how?
to south.
So Australia and North America on level lines, right? So if they're at a tilt, they'd both be facing the sun like this. Then
No,
they
no,
wouldn't.
no.
No, wait, let me finish, sir.
I know what you
So
think.
they-
You think the sun is 93 million miles away, like far.
Oh, you're
away.
saying it's
It's
not.
not. It's a very tiny sun, very close. So it only illuminates part of the Earth.
See, but then you're saying everything we know about the solar system and the galaxies and everything.
Exactly. It's all made up. It's all a
All right,
religion.
it was nice talking to you, sir. It was nice
man.
talking. What's your name, boss?
William.
William Argent. Nice talking to you. Have a
Nice
great
talking to
rest
you,
of your
man.
day.
I appreciate it. It's just too hard for some people. I didn't even get a chance to give him a flyer. Dang. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Yeah, this outer space, for some reason, it's more triggering than the ball Earth. That's what I'm noticing. They just can't believe outer space. Okay, maybe the Earth is not a ball, but outer space is definitely real. So all the other planets, if Earth is flat, then all the other planets have to be flat. Because of course outer space is real. And because I can conceptualize other planets being flat, that means the Earth is not flat either. So, proof. That's like the logic people use. Alright, so you guys could get an idea of where I'm at. I'm gonna go ahead and show the foot traffic. So that's what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it this way a bit. Yeah, it's a lot of students passing by right now. Oh yeah. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, he didn't even let me answer before he jumped to the next question. And then he'll ask me like 3 or 4 questions at a time. You know, it's yeah. Yeah, it is a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I asked him if, because he was talking about the spin of the Earth and the tilt of the Earth. So I asked him what the tilt of the Earth was. He didn't even know. I'm pretty sure if I asked him what the speed of the Earth rotating was, he wouldn't know it either. It's supposed to be a little bit over 1,000 miles an hour, 1,037, something like that. A made-up number. Yeah. Hey,
Hello.
hi.
You know what a stop line looks like? A stop sign looks like, right?
Stop sign?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if you're on the stop sign and you're on the top of the stop sign and you drop a plumb line and you've got a friend on the first angle of the stop sign and he drops a plumb line, because of gravity, both plumb lines are going to be perpendicular to the surface,
Okay. I don't know if you knew this.
but they're going to be at different.
I'm
But
go-
if you're looking at it from the outside, they're going to be at different elevations.
Right, right. So I'm glad you brought up plumb lines. And you could look this up in engineering class or engineering professor. A plumb line is considered a downwards vector, right?
Yeah.
Right? If in engineering, again, you can ask professors, all downward vectors or plumb lines are considered parallel to each other. It doesn't matter the distance. So again, you could check in with your engineering professors here. All downward vectors are parallel. That
I will-
debunks the globe. But yeah, I'm glad you understand
I will
that.
check that.
Yeah, definitely do that. Thank you. Yeah, it's the lady that from the first conversation. She came back. Yep. It got her thinking to the point she had to come back, and then I made a bigger point right now still. So it's gonna be in her mind now. There's no way it's not. Oh man, that was great. I'm glad she came back and asked about plumb lines. Because I'm supposed to be bringing that up, but I forget. Because there's so much things that I want to say, and because I don't have nothing written down. Because if I did, it's just gonna take away from the conversation. It's not gonna be like a natural conversation. So it's just whatever comes to mind. It's just whatever it's what I have to say. Because again, it's not gonna be a good conversation if I have things written down. But yeah, the plumb lines being parallel to each other regardless of distance is a pretty good one. So I'm glad she brought that up. Well, flat earth is not a theory. The earth being level is a fact. Now flat earth maps, I guess those could be theoretical, but nobody knows the true map or the size of the earth. So oh yeah, trust me. Yep. That's the best you could do. Literally, just get people to think about it, and it's up to them if they want to find out or if they don't. You know, you can't force information on anyone, and that's why I'm against the way kids are being forced into schools and being forced to learn the same things at the same rate. You know, all first graders, have to learn the same thing at the same rate, and second graders, same thing. And then if you can't keep up, you're considered dumb now, and now you're held back, a grade. And it's again, information, knowledge, cannot be forced onto people. It's a simple fact. What's up, man? Hey, so you want to give it a shot?
Sure.
So 3 very easy questions. Have to do common sense. Let's see if you could get 2 of 3. So I have 2 images here, and the reason I call them images is because one of them is a photograph and one of them is a painting. So I want to see if people could tell the difference.
I wouldn't know, honestly. I mean, the AI that we've been seeing, it's been getting crazy, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But
I mean, if you can't pick,
if I had to guess, this one is AI.
yeah, so you think this is a photograph then, and this is a
Yes.
painting. All right, you were close, but it's actually a trick question. They're both AI. They're both paintings.
Okay.
So this is an oil painting, and this is a digital painting done on an iPad. So I don't expect people to get this one because it's impossible, like you said, with today's technology. You can't trust anything on the
course.
screen. So there is 2 reasons why I asked this question, though, and they have to do with common sense. So the first reason is just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, because if because you believe in the one's a photograph, that influences you. But you didn't believe me all the way, which is good. Most people do. The second reason is if you want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough. That's obvious, because if I show you an image of me flying or me walking on water, you're not going to believe those images. It's obvious. So these next two have to do with elementary physics, with water actually. So once water is contained like in this bottle, could we agree that it always seeks its lowest point? In other words, it always goes down? Because I could turn the bottle upside down and water always goes down. It doesn't matter what direction. Water always goes down.
It
That's a
goes
fact,
in the
right?
direction of gravity.
Up, down, exactly. So since we understand that water always goes down, I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier. Since we understand water always goes down, how I'm showing you these, which one is upside down? So out of
Which
these,
one's upside down?
yeah, since we understand water always goes down, out of these two images, how I'm showing them to you, which one is upside down? If we're looking at the water, that's what's going to show you which one's upside down. Because we understand water always goes down.
Going based off of all the information you're telling me, I'm going to say this one.
Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I actually took this one like that, holding it up to the ceiling, so you got it. Yeah.
So there's no trick in that one?
No, this is not a trick question. This is just the first one. These are elementary level, I'm telling you. They have to do with common sense. Very easy. So another thing about water, the last one's even easier. Have you ever heard of water always finds its level?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what would be another word for level? If I had to use a different word.
No.
Could we say horizontal, even,
Okay,
right? Horizontal is actually the proper definition for level, right? So since we understand that other fact about water and what level means, which one of these two represents a level when it comes to the water? A or B? It's very easy. Yeah, it's obvious, you got it. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you, have been tricked to believing this is the answer, even though we know it's this one. You want to know how we were tricked?
How?
Do you believe the Earth is a ball?
I don't think the Earth is a ball. However, I think this one, and this one, you would see this in a normal sense
Right.
because you wouldn't see the curve.
You don't think you'll see it, but we should be able to measure it though, right? If it's there,
Should be able to
right?
measure
So
it.
NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, right? So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it, right? So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. So given those numbers, there should be curvature every mile. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches. By the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. So every mile it increases because it's a curve, not a slope. That's what they're telling us. So if we actually went out in nature, like a giant lake that was miles across, and we build a level structure over the lake, that lake should be bending 6 feet in 3 miles. And in 66 feet in 10 miles. So 66 feet is a 6-story building that should be measurable curvature in 10 miles. So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, because if we actually did this experiment, the water is going to be parallel to any level structure.
I think it is worth noting that over long distances, the curvature would be negligent.
Well, that's the thing. It increases every mile, so it's not negligent. It's negligent maybe within the first mile, maybe a few inches, but after the second, third mile, 6 feet, 10 miles is 66 feet. So every mile just keeps increasing more and more because it's not a pyramid.
Yeah, but every mile you would keep just.
No, if it's just 8 inches every mile, it's just gonna build like a pyramid. The telling that Earth is a sphere, so that's why it has to be. The mile has to be squared. This is the exact curvature rate for the Earth. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. I'm pretty sure you've never seen this before because they don't show us this in school. Based on the radius of the Earth, this is the exact curvature based on that. Yeah. So again, water doesn't even curve an inch. You know what I'm saying? Once it's contained, water always finds its level, meaning it's always forms a horizontal plane. Any lake on Earth. So if I was to ask you, what's the #1 proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
I mean, the fact that we have concepts like azimuth. Say you're a ship and
Right.
you want to look at another ship,
Right.
and you would have a radar for that. The direction in which the radar can point downwards and detect the other ship is important based on the curvature of the Earth. It's
Right. So you believe that they're taking in the curvature of the Earth when they're making these distance locations or these radars?
I mean,
So you're saying that a boat can pinpoint another boat miles across, and you're saying that because they're taking in curvature into that.
yes, curvature would influence your detection range. for the
Right.
radar.
So I would assume that you believe that they're taking curvature into account when they're making these measurements or these distance
I mean, if
observations.
that wasn't the case, then radar would be able to go significantly further when from a ship. However, we have those sorts of limitations when, in sort of a naval engagement,
Right.
you would have multiple ships.
Right. Okay. So you're saying because radar doesn't go forever, you're saying is because of the curvature?
Yes, when detecting other surface
Okay.
targets.
Okay, I would say that radar not being, cannot travel forever is because obviously there's mountains in the way eventually. But even in water, like you're saying, I don't know if you knew this, but submarines can pinpoint in direct line of sight other ships, just like a couple feet above sea level, 100 miles away. So in 100 miles, there should be, I don't even know how many curvature, I don't know how many thousand feet of curvature.
Yeah, well,
You
I'd
shouldn't be able to
imagine
see that boat. In other
Surface
words.
radar and sonar would work differently in that sense.
Yeah. So my point is, so that would be the number one proof that convinces you that you believe that these boats or submarines take curvature into account. So you're thinking they're taking this curvature into account. I mean, this is the number they give
Well,
us.
that, and also when like you say level structure, you'd assume that, okay, you have it like this, 8 inches. Why would I keep building it like this? Why wouldn't I just make it?
Because we're staying relevant to the first plumb line. So we're starting off from a plumb line. That's going to be our reference point. So a plumb line is always perpendicular to the Earth, right?
I don't think we would, because like, you know how you have those little like things and those measuring things, like the levels. It has
Yeah.
a little like bubble that goes
Yeah.
upwards.
Yeah, I understand the
You'd just be
levels.
building based on that.
Yeah, theoretically, if we were to actually build this level structure with the level, theoretically, this level structure should be a curve, right? Theoretically. But since we're not going to do that, we're going to stay. So these will be at 90 degrees, obviously, every corner, perfectly cut straight. We stay relevant to the first plumb line, and then we just build 90 degrees from block to block to block to make sure we stay, relevant to the first one. So that, that again, this is theoretical. This experiment has never been done, and if you ask me, it's for a reason, because the curvature is not going to be there. That's again. I will go with physics, how water behaves. If anybody's telling me that the water actually is bending after a mile and it's more after 2 and 3, then the burden of proof is on that person to prove that it is curved.
I do one question.
Yes.
If you do believe the Earth is flat, like why not just, rent a boat, rent a plane, just fly around the curve?
Well, that's the thing though. The Earth, nobody knows the dimensions of the Earth. So the Earth, some people believe it could be infinite. So I actually think it's not. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what Earth is in reality, but nobody knows the
But
dimensions.
like, why not just try around, fly around, and explore it? Like, you think you get to like, the limit, they're gonna try and shoot you down?
No. So I don't know if they actually enforce this, but I don't go with this map because nobody knows what the Earth actually looks like. But this is what it would look like if they're actually telling us the truth about all the continents. So this would be Australia. All the continents are here. So it's just So I don't know if you knew this. Over 50 countries have signed the Antarctic Treaty. So what that means is that nobody's allowed to go south this way. So if you start going south, supposedly, I don't know if they'll enforce this or not. Supposedly, you will get stopped by military and arrested because again, there's a treaty that over 50 countries signed. So nobody's allowed to go this way. So what's over here? I don't know. Some people think there could be other Earths, other ponds, basically, like Earth. So that's why they don't want people going this way.
I don't think they do that. I don't think they enforce that.
I mean, you
I'd
can Google
honestly-
it. It exists. My point is, I don't know if they enforce it, but it exists. That's for sure. They don't allow people to
Well,
explore.
then,
It's on
other
paper.
than that, what is stopping you from just getting a plane?
Well, I'm not a
and going
millionaire. I don't have money.
that way? Well, I mean, there's large groups that believe that, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of
why
those
wouldn't
groups are
they?
controlled. Have you ever heard of the term controlled opposition? Yeah. So a lot of these flat Earth groups are controlled opposition. So they're there just to make you look stupid as well. You know what I'm saying? How do you control? I forgot the quote. Eventually, if you want to control the narrative, you got to control both sides. I don't know if you ever heard of that term as well. If you want to control the outcome, you got to control both sides. So there's a lot of controlled opposition. So that's how it's being censored too, through ridicule, through dismissing it, and through controlled opposition. So that's why I'm out here, just to give it to people straight. Because obviously I'm not controlled opposition. I just state the facts. And if you could show me some other facts that contradict these, not theories or beliefs, then okay, I'll look into it. I'll accept it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go with people's words. I don't go with what people say. I go with physics. And my understanding of water, which is the number one proof to debunk this, is that it always levels out. It doesn't matter the size or distance.
But have you ever been on a plane? Like
Oh, yeah.
sort of seen the curve.
Oh yeah. So when
Yeah.
it comes to airplanes, the horizon, for example, it's always right in front of you, right? That's the limit of your perspective. So when if they're saying that's the curvature of the Earth, when you rise up like on an airplane, you should look down at the horizon, because the horizon is going to be below your feet the higher you go up, right? Because the Earth's supposedly curving down
I mean, when
every
you
direction.
don't go that high, you're just going to see it. It's going to be lower, but you're going to still see it.
Yeah, my point is that when you actually do rise, it doesn't matter how high you go, but in my opinion, 20 miles is the highest human beings have gone based on what I've seen online. The horizon always rises with you. So you don't never look down at the horizon. So the horizon, in my opinion, is apparent. It's just the limit of your eyesight. So it's just how far you can see. Anything goes further than that distance, you won't be able to see it. It gets obstructed by the horizon because that's just the limit of your perspective. It has nothing to do with the Earth curving down. Again, if you could see the curvature, you should be able to measure it. That's what I go with. If you could see it, you should be able to measure it. There's no going around it. So, real quick, I don't know if, do you have any other questions before you go? I do have some information that you could cross-reference if you want to take home. These are the 6 main proofs to debunk the globe. And again, you could check them out. And again, because it is being censored, nobody online is talking about that. And that's why I'm out here, just to get the conversation going,
I feel like people online probably
A lot of
be
controlled
talking about
opposition.
it. I mean, people online talk about everything.
Oh,
There
yeah.
isn't a single thing that
Yeah,
people online
yeah.
don't
Oh, yeah,
talk about.
exactly. But not out here in the real world. Everything I see online, mostly about this topic, is like in hangouts or chats. And nobody's, just some people actually going out what I'm doing right now, talking to real people, but there's not a lot of that going on. That's for sure. That's why I'm actually doing this, because there's not a lot of it going on right now. So.
You see, I hear your points, but I feel like I'm just not at the level where I've learned enough to debunk them.
No, I understand that. I don't expect you to believe me. Don't believe me.
Student.
Yeah.
I'm taking physics right now, and we
There you
haven't
go.
really gotten much into this.
Okay. You should ask your teacher about water, about the physics of water and how.
But I still do think my claim regarding just building down like that.
So you think we'll never be able to build a level structure? Is what you think?
I mean, yeah, it'll just be like that. Wouldn't be really practical, I'd say.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I guess that's just what you believe. That it's not possible. I guess. So fair enough.
Well, I mean, fair enough. I mean, they do have a rocket club here at UCR. I'd imagine some of them would go above 20 miles, because I think that statement's a bit bogus.
Now, humans haven't gone higher than now. Maybe rockets have gone higher than 20 miles, but these NASA rockets, the ones that they supposedly go to the ISS with, again, and now.
Do you think the ISS is real?
So the ISS is not floating in outer space. Nothing's floating up there. Let me just tell you that. Everything that goes up must come down. That's just a fact of reality. So what they claim that they get to this sweet spot where they pop out of the gravity, right, and they just start floating, that's just, that's not real, but so everything.
Wasn't the ISS supposed to be in like a constant state of like falling?
That's what they say. Yeah. So it's not floating, right? It's falling the whole time, right? It's just like a story for them to just. It's just a story, I guess. You have to believe it. That hasn't been. It defies physics, for example. So, have you ever heard of second law of thermodynamics, where has to do with entropy? High pressure always moves to the lower pressure if there's no solid barrier between. So that debunks outer space idea. Why? Because they're saying outer space is negative pressure compared to Earth's pressure, and Earth doesn't have a barrier, and outer space doesn't suck the air out of Earth. But the claim is gravity. A theory is holding in the air. That's what they're telling us. But in physics, we understand that there needs to be a solid membrane separating two opposing pressure systems. There needs to be. Because if there's a hole inside of a cylinder, for example, that has high pressure, guess what's going to happen? That air is going to instantaneously start to rush out. Air always equilibrates, that's my point.
So you're saying there needs to be a shell around the Earth in order to keep the atmosphere?
So have you heard of the dome theory of the Earth?
No, I haven't heard of it.
So it's a biblical thing. I'm not biblical myself. I think all religions are there to control, but the dome theory makes more sense than the outer space theory. Why? Because air has to be contained at high pressure. And we supposedly have 14.7 psi here on Earth, right? That's how we were able to breathe, So, outer space is just defies physics, basically. That's my point. So any story about the sky, about the lights, about the sun is just a religion. Any other religion has a little story about the sky. Christianity believes that there are angels, right? The heliocentric model tells us there are other Earths, like nobody knows what the sky is. That's the point. It's all theories. And trust me, when you look into it, you're going to see that it's all just theories. And it's up to you whether you want to believe them, just like everybody chooses to believe their religion, or they don't,
I mean, I feel like right now I see it as a theory, but in the future I will go into industries surrounding aerospace, all this, blah, 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 blah. I think I will find out.
So rockets being built and launched up, that's not a theory. They obviously do that. What's theoretical, it's how far they go and them supposedly going all the way up to the sky, right? To other, planets and orbiting others, all that's theoretical.
Okay, well, I think I will find out.
Yeah, I'm glad. Appreciate it,
Whether
man.
the elite silence or not, I mean, I think no one's gonna ever know.
All right. No, yeah, appreciate it for talking to me, man. Yeah, you have a good one. Hey, what's up, man?
What is it about? I really like your provocative question.
So it's actually, you want to give it a shot? Actually, have 3 very easy questions.
Sure.
Okay, let me see. Okay. So,
Did you have to get a permit to do this, by the way?
oh no.
on the campus?
No. This is most campuses, especially here in California, are open to the public.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So you
Yeah.
can just set up like this
Yeah,
anytime you like.
yeah. So, real quick, 2 images here. The reason I call them images is because one of them's a photograph and one of them's a painting. So I want to see if people could tell the difference.
I actually can.
You can't?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
My final answer.
Dude, you're the first one to actually get this one right. That is the right answer because it's a
Yeah.
trick question.
Mm.
They're both paintings. So
Okay.
the correct answer is we can't tell.
Yeah.
So you're the first one to actually get this, and I've asked a lot of people this, so that's pretty good. So
glad.
Yeah. So there is 2 reasons why I asked this one. The first reason is most people do believe me, but you didn't. But most people, just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, right? Because if you believe me, then that can influence your choice, right?
Yeah.
That's not good to just believe something, which you didn't, right? And the second reason is if you want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough, because if I showed you an image of me flying or me walking on water, you're not going to believe those images, right? Because that defies physics, Nobody can fly, really. So these next 2 have to do with water, elementary physics. So once water is contained like in this bottle, could we agree that water always seeks the lowest point? In other words, it always goes down, right? Because I could turn the bottle upside down, but water always goes down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a fact of water,
I can see that.
That's obvious, right? So since we understand that fact about water, and I painted this blue, the water blue, with food coloring just to make it easier, how I'm showing you these 2 images, since we understand water always goes down, which one is upside down?
Upside down.
Which one is upside?
I would think the right one.
This one, yeah,
Yeah.
you got it, man, yeah. So this one is upside down. I took it like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because the water can't stick to the top.
Right.
Yeah, so you do
Oh,
trust.
that's awesome.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah,
So you do
yeah.
trust your common sense.
I
That's
got
good.
what to do there.
Yeah. So this last one, have you ever heard of water find its level? Water always finds its level.
Like it would be balanced throughout.
There you go. Yeah. So what would be another word besides balance or level that we could use?
Equilibrium.
Horizontal
Horizontal.
is
Okay.
actually the proper definition. So since we understand that fact about water as well, it always levels out. Which one of these 2 represents water level correctly?
Left one.
Yeah, you got it. Very easy, huh? So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you, have been tricked to believing this is the answer, even though we know it's this one. You want to know? Yeah, you want to know? So do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Not maybe it's analogous to the ball, but not exactly a ball.
So like an oblate spheroid. So you still think it's a sphere?
Yeah,
Like a ball
spherical.
floating in outer space, right?
Very
Yeah.
spherical.
So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, right? So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth. Give me 1 second. Where is it? Just had it. Oh, here it is. It's 3,959 miles. So if we multiply the radius times 2, we get the diameter. And if we multiply that diameter times pi, we get the circumference, right? So the circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles, is what they're telling us. So there needs to be curvature every mile. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches. By the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. So every mile it increases the curvature because it's a sphere, not a pyramid. So if we actually went out in nature and built a level structure over a giant lake that was miles across, there should be 6 feet of curvature in 3 miles, but we understand water, always levels out. So the water is going to be parallel to that structure. So this would be the number 1 experiment to debunk the globe, in my opinion, because physical measurement of the Earth.
Okay, so maybe you're getting at what were you getting at is that the Earth is not spherical. but
Exactly.
It's
It's
flat,
level.
I think.
It's level.
Level.
Yeah. So flat Earth. I know you heard of flat Earth, right? Probably.
Yeah.
So flat Earth is kind of like a term that was propped up to be mocked. Because as soon as people hear flat Earth, they don't want to hear it anymore.
Right.
So I try to stay away from that word because obviously it's like a triggered word. But yeah, the Earth is demonstrably level.
But would you say it's basically the same thing, the flat Earth, with whatever conception you have, or
So the flat.
like, in terms of like it would just take apart, the negative connotations that people think it has, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's flat either because there's mountains, there's valleys, there's canyons. So it's the Earth's surface is uneven, but the water is what's level. The water's completely flat. I guess you could use that term for the water. But to say that the Earth is flat completely, then that kind of turns people off, you know, because then they visualize a disk in outer space, and you know, it's kind of propaganda in a way. That's what happened. So I try to stay away because nobody really knows what the Earth actually is, other than the surface being level. So nobody really knows what this is. So if I was to ask you, what's the number one experiment or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
I rely on authorities.
I'm glad you said it like that. You're not the first one to say that, but yeah, I'm glad you admit that. It's just based on faith, basically, in what they're telling you the truth, right?
I didn't really do all the calculations and experiments by
Right.
myself.
Well, there's a reason why they don't teach us this in school, the 8 inches per mile squared curvature of the Earth, because if they teach us this as a little kid and people actually went out, you know, and tested this, it'll fall apart. You know what I'm saying? That's why they don't tell us this in school, but they do tell us that the Earth is a ball. But
yeah, so maybe I'm still having trouble with that explanation. So 8 inches is curvature per mile. What is that?
Per
mean?
mile squared. So
Per mile squared.
because
What
they're telling us that the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles, there needs to be curvature every mile. So the formula for this curvature rate,
Every mile squared or
every mile squared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference between every mile squared and every mile?
Because if it's every mile, 8 inches every mile, it's just gonna build a pyramid. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you get a square grid and you go 2, 1, and then 1 down, and then 2, 1, and then 1 down, and then 2, 1. It's just gonna make like a pyramid.
Yeah.
But since they're telling us Earth is a sphere, with the radius, that mile needs to be square because that curvature needs to increase because it needs to come back around. So it's not just 8 miles per mile. You know, it's 8 inches per mile. It's 8 inches per mile squared,
Right.
because it's a sphere. You know what I'm saying? Here's another formula that's way easier. You understand the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah.
It's very easy, right? So since we understand, you know, they're telling us the radius, and then we can obviously know how far we're seeing an object based on, if we use a point of reference, right? We could use the a squared plus b squared formula, the Pythagorean theorem, to calculate for this curvature as well. So what I did here is I replaced, you know, r squared plus L squared, solve for x squared. Once we solve for x squared, we just deduct the radius, and that leaves us with the drop. And this is accurate for the first 300 miles as well. So at 8 inches per mile squared, you could use the Pythagorean theorem as well, if it's a little confusing. You know what I'm saying?
It is really confusing. You said we can deduct the
once
diameter?
Once we solve for x, right, because a squared plus b squared equals c squared,
Right.
we just deduct the radius, which is the distance from the center to the surface, and that leaves us with the drop. This should be the curvature drop right here. Does that make sense? This distance from here to here, that should be how much Earth is bending. Because if the Earth is a ball, it has to be curving, right? That's what they're telling us.
Yeah.
So this is the curvature rate, basically, using the Pythagorean theorem. You know, there's just 2 different formulas, you know, basically giving us the same number, 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah.
You know, and this one's easier to understand, obviously, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And this is the exact curvature rate, which has to be done on a computer, because I don't think anybody could do this in person, getting all these, you know, big numbers.
Right.
I actually did this one with a calculator as well, you know. I couldn't do this on the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, I'm gonna trust the calculations. I'm not.
Well,
so
these are the
good at
measurements
math
they give us. Yeah, yeah.
myself.
So, just
I mean,
real-
I'm curious.
yeah, real
go
quick.
ahead.
So the horizon, right? How would you describe the horizon?
It's that which is up there, I guess.
I mean,
at least.
geometrically, how would you describe it?
I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's flat, maybe it's not.
Could we say it's horizontal?
I guess so,
Horizon?
yeah, from my perspective, I would see it
Right.
being horizontal.
Right? So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through GoPro. I don't know if you're familiarized with the fisheye lens,
Yeah.
right? It curves horizontal lines. So you're only ever going to see curvature of the Earth through GoPro lenses or through CGI cartoons like these. So these are basically, this one's from 2002, NASA official image, and this one's from 2012. So, but they admit these are Photoshop. So an image
So
like
is it
this,
NASA?
yeah, these are
NASA
from
admit
NASA's website. Yeah, I admit it. They don't call them Photoshop, they call them composites.
Composites.
So they're just another word for Photoshop, basically. But they admit, so
That's
another,
a strong admission by them.
yeah, it is, and they have to do this. You want to know why? Because then they'll get sued in court. You know, so for legal reasons, they have to call them images because they're not
And
photographs.
what would they be sued for?
I'm assuming for lying, because they're not photographs and not genuine photographs. You know
So,
what I'm
so you
saying?
would probably be saying something like, NASA makes it seem as if
They're taking
Earth
photographs.
is circular or spherical.
Spherical.
But in reality, it's not.
It's not.
They're photoshopping their photos.
Therefore, no
Okay.
image of the Earth like this exists. All
yeah,
of these
I
are
see.
cartoons,
They're composed. You said?
composites.
Composites.
Yeah, well, composed. Yeah, I mean, listen,
Okay.
yeah, you get it.
Composites.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, I came across this 6 years ago. This topic. I mean, it's always been around, but it's been heavily censored until the internet came out and people are able to share, and explored it on the internet around 2015, 2016.
Right.
And it started getting censored around 2019. And the way they're censoring it is they're not removing this information from the internet, they're just demoting it, and they're promoting just so-called experts and all these astrophysicists, and they're just ridiculing it. So that's how they're censoring it. They're ridiculing it, dismissing it, and not taking it serious.
Right.
So that's how they're censoring it.
Yeah, I definitely think even with this position, which has like so many negative connotations connected with it from other people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
I think it should be taken seriously,
Exactly.
Especially with the evidence that you're presenting me.
Exactly.
It's just one of the things is I wish I understood what you were saying there with all the.
You will.
All the math.
I mean, the
mathematical,
Pythagorean theorem is the easiest to understand, but you should take a look at this one. I don't know if you want to take a picture of it, but
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
why not, right? And you could show this to any professor,
All right.
and then you could take a picture of this
Back
one
to-
too. Yeah,
Awesome.
the Pythagorean theorem.
And how were you able to find all these information?
So, like I said, when it exploded on the internet around 2015, it wasn't that censored. So I was able to, see some YouTube videos, and then little by little, number one proof. Once water is the number one proof. Here, let me give you this. These are the 6 main proofs to debunk the globe. I'm gonna take a quick look at them. So water is the number one. The horizon obviously never curves. Euclidean plane geometry. So just understanding all the facts about construction and engineering and the physics of water is what led me to accept this as a part of my reality.
Right. And so, what were your studies in? Private and also at
yeah.
the university? If you had any?
No,
experience?
actually haven't had any university experience. I did graduate from honors in high school.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I didn't pursue college. But
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, we're supposed to be learning anyways. Just because a student goes to the university does not mean that they
They can't learn.
automatically smart. Quote,
Yeah.
I usually avoid that word smart because smart in what specifically? Is it science,
Exactly. Hey,
philosophy?
you're pretty smart actually. You believe it or not, you are, man. Because intelligence has nothing to do with memorizing and repeating, and that's what people think. Oh, you can memorize this whole book and repeat it. Like it's not. That's not what smart is. Smart is understanding what you're learning and seeing if it's real or not. Having discernment and being honest.
Right.
Intelligence is it's not just one thing. It's a bit. It encompasses a lot of different things.
Right. And I'm thinking, so one of your goals would be to help people see that the Earth is not actually spherical
Yeah,
like a ball.
exactly.
I mean, is there anything further? Is there
So-
some sort of religion involved?
So, in my opinion, all religions, again, I'm not religious myself, but all religions, in my opinion, are there to control people. And I'm pretty sure, some religions are pretty extreme, right? And they take advantage of, I would say the heliocentric model, the ball Earth, believe, all that, it's the biggest religion on Earth. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, because it's based on faith, just like every other religion. It has nothing scientific, nothing empirical. It's just faith. You believe that. Second is all religions have a creation story. And what's the heliocentric model's creation story? The Big Bang, evolution, gravity supposedly forming planets and orbital mechanics. So all of that is just a creation story, just like any other religion. The fact is, nobody knows how this place got here. Nobody even knows what it is, other than the surface being level. I don't know what this place is. Like, I don't know. I'm having this this experience of existing, but I don't know what it is.
Right. And what's your understanding of religion? So you would say that all these religions would have their creation stories, right?
Yeah.
So would you say religion is that faith that, let's say, a person puts into something,
Yes.
and also it's unprovable?
Exactly.
So
It-
just
does it-
those
that's-
two conditions?
yeah.
Or anything else?
Yeah. Well, obviously the creation story.
Yeah. So that's 3.
Creation story, and I would say that religions are, again, they do all this just to basically make you doubt your own common sense and your own experience and just give that away to someone else. And if you do that, you're most likely just gonna do everything else they say as well, like how to live, what to do, so it's all about control through dumbing people down,
Right.
to making you believe that other people are smarter.
Right.
So I think that's all religions do, and that's what the baller does too.
So what if there were a religion that indicated the goal is not to be smart, the goal is not control, but it's to be free?
Right.
I don't know, maybe perhaps yeah, you can think of probably Satanism, and let's say this person, the Satanist, goes to the devil, and then the devil tells this person that they will be free if they keep committing all these bad things.
Right.
Would that be a religion of control as well, would you say, or
Well,
is that something that's free?
Well, put it this way: any religion trying to tell you what to do and how to live, I would say, it doesn't even have to be a religion. Any person trying to tell you what to do and how to live without any like logical stance or any common sense is just trying to take advantage of you. And I think, again, it doesn't have to be a religion. It could be a person too. But I just feel like religions are just groups of these kinds of people. They're just trying to take advantage of other people. And again, they do it through, again, just lying, you know, like, oh, we figured it out, you know, and this is what we're supposed to do, and God spoke to me, and this is what we're supposed to do, you know, like, that's bullshit. God doesn't speak to just one person. If God speaks to one, he speaks to all, you know. And I would say,
And why do you think so?
because we're all equal. We're all, it doesn't matter what God you believe in, or whatever higher power you believe in, we were all created by the same. I don't know what that is. Religion tries to tell you what that is.
So you think there were a creation?
100%. So the first law of thermodynamics, I don't know if you ever heard, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only transform from one form to another.
Yeah.
So we cannot create something out of nothing right now. And we can't make something disappear either. So what that tells me is that we came from something, because something can come from nothing. And that's the fact. That's a scientific fact.
Right.
First law. It debunks the Big Bang. It debunks all that shit.
Would you say we've always existed then with that consideration?
That's a possibility. I do think about it like in those terms, like, you know, I do get philosophical about it, and it's like, has this place always existed, or is it some kind of technology that we're experiencing? So I'm in the middle right now. I don't know.
Right.
You know?
Right. So you wouldn't. Would there be a sort of problem with one view saying that we were created, and then another view which says that we are eternal? Or do you think that creation and eternality can go together?
Yes,
You
I think
so?
creation. So if this place was created like some kind of technology, where we come from is the true natural place. So this is just an experience we're having. This cannot be considered natural, because if we're part of the eternal, which I think we are, and if this is a creation, that means we come from something else. So what we truly are is not this. So this is just an experience. So we could be eternal, obviously, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So we have to be. That's a fact. You know, I think, based on what science shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's interesting, because there are some people, like for example Aristotle, who would hold to Aristotle / those followers of Thomas Aquinas, one member of the Catholic Church.
Okay.
They would say something to this effect, that even if creation were eternal, God, or that the being, that mover,
The higher power,
could still create through all that eternality. So it's just something to reaffirm what you're saying, right? So you're not the only one who holds to that view.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really curious then, like, maybe specifically about Christianity. Do you think that it is so with those three conditions, right? Like the religion of control, and when a person puts their faith in it, are there certain proofs that can go with that as well? And I forgot what the third condition was, but
it was a creation story.
Creation story, yeah. So with the creation story, is there any proof that we can provide for it, implicitly or explicitly?
What do you mean, proof that we could say that that's not good to do that?
Or evidence, like evidence that in fact God did create humanity.
Oh, okay. So I would say the evidence that some kind of higher power is involved here is the fact that we're alive. And if you ever look at the human anatomy, like how the eyeball even works, you know, how our intestines work, you know, everything about the human body.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, exactly. If one thing goes wrong, the whole body falls apart. So it's like a machine that's always working. So to think that just came by accident is to believe that you're going to find an iPhone 14 in the middle of the woods, and you're going to believe that it just built itself.
Yeah, so that's very interesting.
You know
it
what I'm
seems
saying?
like you are familiar with the fine-tuning argument for God's existence.
Yeah.
Right.
Trust me, I've thought about it a lot. I'm very philosophical myself, even since I was a child. I hate to say it, but this globe earth belief squashed that curiosity for me, because I was very, again, I would think a lot about my existence. I would think a lot about this reality, about myself and all this. But then as soon as this was introduced to me, my curiosity about this place was just squished. So the fact that I found out that it was actually all a lie, I got all that curiosity back. now as an adult, I'm able to express it better. Obviously, a child can't really, he doesn't have the vocabulary or to be able to explain what he thinks, right? But now as an adult, it makes perfect sense. The fact is, we don't know what this place is, and to me, that's actually a better stance than just being ignorant. You know what I'm saying? To not know, it actually makes it a little bit exciting for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what's going on, and
Yeah, and I think that can be like a healthy I don't know too.
Exactly, it is.
So
It
we should
is.
have that. I think for me personally, it really helps me to be even more curious and
Yes.
try to explore more with that I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I would think that you would hold to the position that at least there are some things that we can know for
Exactly.
certain. Okay, so
Yes.
that's good. You're not just
No.
a global skeptic.
No,
or
no,
anything like that.
So
Okay.
physics, we have 5 senses, right?
Yeah.
So those senses are obviously, we have them to be able to navigate this place, and we can test things to a certain limit to see how they behave, to see what they do, and that's why we're able to create technology,
Yeah.
because we know these things. We know physics, right? But there's only a certain point to how far we can understand. So for example, water. We utilize water for a bunch of different things, like the physics of water, how water, for example, the brakes in your car utilizes liquid fluid because water cannot be compressed. So if you have a small, water cannot be compressed is the point. It can make water into a smaller space. So knowing these facts we're able to build, machines and things that work, right? So, but again, when we start talking about like what makes up water, like molecules, the little things, and what makes up the air, that's theoretical. So we don't know that.
Okay.
So H2O, oxygen, those are just concepts. Molecules, what makes up this reality. Again, this part of the creation story of the heliocentric model.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, since you're philosophically minded,
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't know if you've ever examined the historical arguments for Jesus' resurrection.
Oh.
I've had a lot of people bring that up to me,
Right.
and I find it really interesting. It's very intriguing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can present the arguments,
Right.
arguments for you if you'd like, but I mean, just prima facie, what do you think about it?
Right. So the whole Jesus thing, huh?
Yeah.
So, to be honestly, blunt about it, religion again. It's just a story. I can't even prove what happened 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna believe anybody telling me what happened 100 years ago.
Right.
So if my logical mind doesn't let me do that, like, sure, I'll hear your story. Doesn't mean I'm gonna believe it.
Yeah.
If I can't believe somebody, how am I gonna believe someone 2,000 years ago?
Right.
Especially doing all these things that defy physics, walking on water, making things appear out of nowhere, like, again, I think the Bible, all Bibles, especially Christianity, it's a metaphoric book. So the lessons in it are true, like the meaning behind the stories, not the stories themselves. It's the meaning behind the book that matters. That's why I think with all religions, to be honest, I think all religions are like that. It's the meaning behind it.
So you're not saying that the whole Bible is completely
Fabricated.
false, right?
Yeah.
You say at least there's this reality, quote unquote, for the stories, like in terms of
Yes,
the stories.
like the
there's
moral of
reality.
the story.
Yeah, the moral. Of the story.
Did you get the moral of the story? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Now you learned something. You don't have to believe the literal story. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like, let's
see.
say when you watch Star Wars, right? You see a lot of love stories in Star Wars and a lot of things that happen in life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean Star Wars is real. You know what I'm saying? Like Chewbacca's out there, and doing all these things. But the moral of the story is what I go with.
Right. So you mentioned that you would not believe what happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to something like, let's say we are going towards the future and we're really far away from the time of
Right.
the Holocaust or the foundation of America,
Right.
would you dismiss history, any history that's more
We don't
than
even
100
have to
years?
go that far. Right now, I don't trust how this, how it tells 200 years ago, Columbus came here, took it from the Indians, right?
Yeah.
And that's how America came to be, right? I get that story, that's the ones that's pushed on us since we're little, right? I don't believe.
Right.
So I don't know exactly how this place was colonized, but that's the story they give us, right? But
So for example, let's say you have pictures of your ancestors,
Right.
and you have a picture of somebody really old. They're 200 years apart from you.
Right.
Would you believe that they existed and they were in fact your ancestors?
Right. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even go. It's so irrelevant to me to believe it or not believe it. It won't even make a difference in my life. So, I wouldn't even bother believing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you wouldn't bother believing in it.
Stuff that's not gonna affect my life,
Right.
positive or negative. You know, especially positive. If it's not gonna affect me positively, why am I gonna focus on it?
Yeah.
Break my head over it. You know.
Well, I mean,
what
I
I'm
wonder, like, let's say you go to a psychologist, right? So, you have a sort of problem. The psychologist
Right.
says, I want you to examine your family history and trace it back. See if there were certain anger tendencies or
Right.
like smoking tendencies and things like that, so that the psychologist can help you solve your problems at the moment, right? Well, that would be relevant to you, I think. But let's say that that ancestor in the past, in fact, were not relevant. I think that's a different question than whether
He
it is
existed
in
or not.
reality that they existed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So again, I will admit that some things I don't know. So I would just admit in that sense I don't know. So I won't have to believe it still, but I won't have to deny it. So I just say I don't know.
Right,
So,
so-
that's what I go with. Either I know something or I don't.
Right.
That's what I go with. I don't have to believe. You know,
So
believe
that's
it.
very interesting. You're
Yeah.
not a global skeptic, but you're skeptical. You're skeptical of anything that's 100 years in the past from where you are.
Yeah,
living.
from where I'm at right now.
Okay.
I'm 100% skeptical about everything 100 plus years.
Right.
you know,
So
before
who
me.
do you think created cars or?
To be
that
honest,
sort of
I don't
things
think
like
nobody
that?
knows. I think
Oh,
that
okay.
the idea has been stolen from somebody that actually did it years ago, and then whoever stole it capitalized on it, and that's the reason why we still have gas cars today, and we don't have electric cars like we should have.
Right.
100 years. I don't know if you knew the electric car was invented before the gas car.
I actually.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't
So
know.
the reason it's obvious why the electric car didn't get pushed because oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the whole Dubai, Qatar, all these places were built off of our money, off of oil. So all this, 100 years of paying for gas is what built Dubai.
Yeah.
It's what built all these places in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? So
I see the consistency in your view, actually. Like,
Yeah.
you are really consistent with it. So you're not saying, oh, for some things I'm going to
No,
believe
no,
in
no,
the
no,
past,
no.
and some things I'm going to believe.
I'm glad you're seeing that. I'm
right,
very
not believe in
consistent.
belief, right?
Yeah.
So I like the consistency. Maybe it's a little bit of a hard view for me to accept.
Oh yeah.
Considering that I do believe we can have historical facts, be thousands of years old, from my time. So like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, those people really did exist
Okay.
way back then.
Okay.
But and I can still see, okay, so you would have that skeptical position. So that's
Yeah,
definitely
here's the
awesome.
thing. When it comes to like these characters like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, I know I've never really heard people talking like this, but it's just where my mind takes me. I can't accept those characters 100% were real.
Right.
Again-
Is there any percentage that you can put on that? Like
I mean, maybe
50%?
50,
Uh-huh.
But again,
And-
I'll go back to I don't know.
Mhm.
That'll be my final answer. I don't know. So if they actually existed, what I'm
Right.
saying?
So 50-50 would be like maybe tentative, but I don't know it's going to be that
That's
sure.
that's my sure answer. I don't
Okay.
know, because that's the honest answer. If anybody's honest, we don't know. We just have to take someone's word.
Right. So I do
That's
think
the
that
fact.
it's going to be based on probabilities. It's going to be hard to put a number on it. So like
Yeah.
I wouldn't know if I would put it on like 95% chance
Right.
that George Washington really did exist.
Right. But here's the thing: when we're talking about stories, stories are one thing. But when we're talking about physics, I don't have to have faith. So if somebody, for example, 2,000 years ago did a physics experiment, I shouldn't just have to believe that experiment. I should be able to recreate that physics experiment today.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
where stories to me become irrelevant when it comes to determining what's real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So-
So maybe specifically stories about physics,
Just-
because like if you had let's say an ancestral story
Yeah.
passed down to you, maybe you will believe that, maybe you won't.
I mean, if
Right.
if it's physically shown and demonstrated and practically used, then yeah, I don't have to believe it. I would know it. I would
Because
understand
you
it.
would- so in order for you to know if something is true, it would have to be tested.
I have to be I have to experience it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's say, for example, somebody across the globe,
Right.
they experience something. Maybe they see a white raven somehow. But
Right.
your experience, over here in America, you've always experienced black ravens.
Right.
Is it and then they come over to America and they tell you that there was a white raven over
Right.
there. You wouldn't just believe them immediately.
No.
You would have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm gonna tell you why. Because if I just believe them, that state of mind is not good to have in other aspects where people are trying to take advantage of you. Because this is like a very innocent scenario. Oh, it's just believing he has a white sheep or whatever, right? Or a raven, right? But if we go to like a more serious scenario, like but when there's money involved, for example, like NASA, putting just faith into something, again,
It may be control, huh? They may be trying to control.
yeah,
it,
exactly. So that's why, even if it's the smallest thing, my mind can't go there because I have to be consistent, like you said. You know, like I have to stay consistent. So even if it's the smallest thing, I can just okay, I believe you. Just to make you feel good, you know. Maybe I'll say it just to make you feel good, but inside I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's consider, for example, like a lot of people go over to that place with the white raven, right? So I don't know, maybe 1 billion people somehow that migrate over there,
Right.
and you're still over here in America with those 6 other billion or however many in America, right? 300 million.
Right. 300
So
million.
you would you say that, and then those the 1 billion, they come back to you and they testify to you, just one by one.
Mhm.
Hey, we saw a white raven over there. Did you believe that or no?
Again, testimony and testifying, all this, to me, it just sounds like a religion. So
So you wouldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it.
Okay. So when it comes to something like, let's say the chart that you gave me, like all the calculations.
But I wouldn't deny. I wouldn't throw it out the window either. Know that. So
You would
just
say,
because
I
I don't,
don't
be-
know.
yeah,
Right.
just because I don't believe it, that doesn't mean you're wrong. Now you could be right. You know, I just don't know if you're right. You know, you could have 1,000 people, 1 million people, 1 billion people saying it. If I don't know, I don't know. You know, that's simple.
Right. So when it comes to the calculations, right?
Yeah.
So these people in the past, they created the computers and all its minute details
Yeah.
for you to possess. Could it be possible that they could have just fooled you into thinking that you see these numbers, you see these calculations, when in reality, you're like you said, you're just in an experiment? Would you be willing to take that position?
No, because these numbers that are shown to us, well, these numbers don't exist. But other numbers, for example, like when it comes to building a computer, you know, when it comes to, not only are they work, but they're used practically. So these numbers are actually being applied to something, and we're actually using it. So I don't have to place faith on that. You know what I'm saying? I understand that it works. I understand, you know, those numbers work. Now, when we're giving numbers like this, and we put these numbers to the test, just like any other numbers, like a car, you know, to build a car, to build a house, even to get the measurement. When we put these numbers to the test, the globe falls apart. So that's my point. All the numbers that we're being told about the heliocentric model are all made up.
Right. So one of the things that you would say would be required for something to be true is that it has to be practical.
Exactly.
Right. So when it comes to, let's say, a mathematical equation that we figure out, some really smart genius,
Okay,
he figures out. Would you say that mathematical equation is real, or it's
What's
not
that matter
real?
equation about?
It's not about anything practical. So
I mean, it's just a mind puzzle. I think mathematics, if it's an equation that's not tied to reality, it's just a mind puzzle.
tied to practicality, right?
No, if it's not tied to practicality, if an equation is just an equation and it's not tied to reality, like you're able to use that equation practically, then it's just a mind puzzle.
Right.
So
So,
just like-
for you, what is reality is that which is
So,
practical.
so for
There's
example,
nothing-
measurement of speed, for example, how long does it take a train going 60 miles an hour to go 60 miles? We can measure that. We can measure 60 miles. We can measure how long it takes, you know, that type of measurement I'm talking about. And building a house, for example, oh, we're going to build a house, 12 feet on this side, and then we're going to build it 12 feet on this side, and then we're
and
going
you
to
can use physical equations to help you out. with that,
Exactly.
And that's practical.
exactly, because
Yeah.
I'm using them. But these are not used. That's my point. They only exist in a book.
Right. So
These
when it comes
curvature
to a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you would say that's not practical.
That is practical.
That is practical.
Yeah, triangulation.
Okay,
Yeah.
So when you were pointing, you said these are not. Practical.
No, when it comes to measuring the curvature for this rate.
And that's not practical.
The,
So
yeah,
measuring
the curvature rate is not practical, but the equation is. The
Right.
equation could be used, and that's why it's used for the curvature rate of the globe, and the curvature is not there. That's my
Right.
point.
So could you measure anything? Like, for example, can you measure the table?
Oh, yeah.
And that be a reality?
Yeah,
So you would say we can measure the table, but we can't measure the curvature of the globe.
because it doesn't exist. It just goes straight. That's the thing. The surface of the earth just goes straight. It doesn't curve.
Right? Do you think there would, like, in the future, we would have, it would be possible at least, right, to have a technology such that the measurement of the curvature of the globe would be spot on with our mathematical equations, just like how we would be able to measure the table now.
Right. And I see what you're trying to get to. I don't think it's ever going to happen because the curvature is just not there. That's just.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. You wouldn't be skeptical about that. You would say.
I mean,
you wouldn't think like so. So you would be more sure on that.
Well, again, I go with physics, so I know water always finds its level, and I know level means horizontal. So if you're telling me that the level means curve after a certain distance, then the burden on proof will be on that person to undeniably prove that it is curving.
So it would be on that person, right?
Yeah.
Would you say it's also on you who would try to claim that we can't measure the curvature of the globe as well? Because it seems to me like the burden of proof would fall on the person who is trying to convince another or is making a proposition and coming up with a conclusion from the proposition.
Right. So I would say that the initial proposition or the initial premise is water level, right? We all understand, if we go to a bathtub, we go to a pool, we go to a lake, water always forms a horizontal line. Now, again, that's a fact that we can all agree. Even people that believe the globe, a lot of people would say, oh yeah, it's locally flat, right? Yeah. So since we all accept that water level means horizontal or flat, right? The burden of proof is on those who claim that it curves after a certain distance. You know what I'm saying? Because we all agree, okay, it's level, it's horizontal. Now there's some people saying, oh, but it starts to curve after 3 miles. Well, prove it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
They have the burden.
They have the burden of
now,
proof.
Let's
not
consider
us.
your claim. Right, your claim is you can't prove the curvature of the globe. So that's a claim. That's a proposition. Or maybe
Yeah, you could say it's a
conclusion.
claim, yeah, or
Right.
proposition.
And would you say that also you also have a burden of proof to carry with that proposition? Or
Well, I would say, the proof is in understanding how the physics of water works. I would say that's the proof. And again, anybody can understand how water behaves. It's very, very easy, you know what I'm saying? It always seeks the lowest point, always finds its level once contained. So if you're going to try to take that from me, like my understanding of that, again, you're going to have some extraordinary proof. Extraordinary proof
Yeah.
to debunk that.
Right. So I'm not trying to take it. And
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
saying
yeah,
that
yeah. I'm just
you
in
are
general.
trying to
Just in general.
say
In
that
general.
I'm trying to take it, right?
No, no, yeah.
I'm just curious, right? So like, we're just basically discussing about the burden of proof, right?
Yeah, burden
So
of
when
proof.
it comes to these measurements, do you think it would be possible that somehow now and in the past we've been able to measure things to at least a good approximation, at least, right? But then somehow tomorrow everything will go mad. We will not be able to measure anything to a good approximation.
So
Do you think that's
measurement,
possible?
it's possible because measurement, the way we measure nowadays, it's using a certain metric system, right? So in America we use inches, feet, and in Europe they might use the different, they might not use inches, they use yards, right? Point being is that because we all have this metric system that we all use, we're able to all have the same measurement. So we all agree an inch is from here to here, right? Whatever. It's this many millimeters, right? And then 12 inches is a foot, right? We all agree on that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, again, measuring things, the fact that everything, like we all understand each other when it comes to, because we're all using the same metric system, but we can create our own metric systems.
Right.
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, we could easily do it. You know what I'm saying?
So would it be possible that tomorrow we use the same measurement system that we have, let's say in America, inches and feet and all that? Would it be possible that tomorrow somehow it doesn't
We use a
work
different
anymore?
metric. Well, it won't work if we. It would always work. That's the thing.
So
because it's
how
tied
would
to
you
something
know that
real.
It always works if you have not experienced the future.
Well, put it this way, it always works because, again, it's just language based, put it that way. So an inch, we're just giving that an inch. But what's real is the distance, what that inch does,
Right.
So what you're saying is if tomorrow that doesn't work, like I don't understand.
Yeah,
We use
so
a
like,
different
let's-
metric system.
So let's say our measurement system is in terms of inches
Right.
today and in the past, and that's always worked out fine. Like,
Right, right, right.
You can see how many inches this table
Right.
is. Then tomorrow we try to measure the table again, and we use that same
But then
method of measurement. Measuring
didn't
using
work.
inches, but it doesn't work.
So that means that the table grew or
well,
it
the
shrunk?
table is gonna stay the same.
Well, then
but
the-
somehow our measurement of it doesn't. work
Right,
out the
I
same.
see what you mean.
So maybe today and yesterday, this was.
So you think an inch-
26 inches or something.
So theoretically, you're saying, let's say an inch is like this big. You think tomorrow an inch is going to be this big?
I don't know. Like I'm wondering. I'm
I don't
just
think.
trying to
I mean,
figure out
I
your
don't.
mind to
I
see
don't
if,
think that
like,
makes sense to me. But I know what you're trying to ask. Like, I don't think once we establish, okay, 1 foot is 12 inches. I don't think that foot's ever gonna be 13 inches unless we change it. So we have to make an inch a little shorter to compensate to make an extra inch. You know what I'm saying?
Right, so you think that an inch will always
It's just
be,
the
let's
concept.
say like this.
Well, that's what we
And-
all agree on. Yeah, an inch is a certain size, so 12 inches is gonna be a foot.
So you think that it will always be like this, for example, right? It will always be like this today,
Tomorrow, yeah.
yesterday, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even though you haven't experienced tomorrow.
I guess that's a good point. I know what you're trying to say. I mean, we don't know if we're gonna be alive tomorrow, so you can go as far as to say that.
Right.
So, so I mean, I don't know
So
what
maybe-
tomorrow holds. Put it that way.
Maybe you would.
No,
say
but
something like this,
but logically, it should be. For example, a cup of water, it's 8 ounces. A cup of water. So you're gonna tell me a cup of water is gonna weigh 10 ounces tomorrow?
I don't know.
That's what you're you're asking me.
Well, my position is like I'm gonna believe it even though I haven't experienced it, right? So I believe tomorrow.
Well, I would say that's a logical belief based on something that cannot be broken. I doubt an 8 ounce a cup of water that weighs 8 ounces is not gonna weigh 10 ounces tomorrow unless you put 2 ounces of water in it.
Right.
Then it's gonna weigh 10 ounces tomorrow. Or it's not gonna weigh 6 ounces unless you leave it out for like a week. Then the water eventually evaporates. Condensation. And
Yeah, so-
water will get lower. But
Yeah.
but not because, again, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You know what I'm saying? So an 8 ounce of water is always gonna be 8 ounces of water.
Yeah. At least that's with my system. Once again, the reason I bring this, well, actually I didn't mention this, but the reason I bring it up is you mentioned how you wouldn't trust history 100 years removed from yourself because you have not experienced it, right? But
Well,
then-
history is just his story, just somebody's story.
Right. So it
Somebody's-
comes down to his story.
Yeah, his
that's
story.
that's going to be problematic. It's not that this is this thing, history, quote unquote,
Yeah.
is 100 years removed from you. It's that it's his story specifically.
Yeah.
That's that subject.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
but
problem.
then when it comes to let's say a measurement that we've discovered
Right.
way back then,
Yeah.
200 years apart from us,
Right.
you would still believe that because that's not history, right? Even though it is.
It's a physical measurement. Yeah, so I would say that's a little bit more I will go towards because, again, it's a physical measurement. And if that thing is still there and we could all go and measure it and confirm, okay, then yeah, I don't have to believe, that this was, whatever. But I kind of get what you're getting at. But,
Right. So let's say we were able to date a manuscript of one of the Gospels in the Bible, and this manuscript seems to have been, 1,000 years before, 2,000 years before, whatever it was. Would you believe that, or would you say, oh, that's also history, right? So it's a physical thing. That's
Yeah.
I guess maybe you will
Yeah.
challenge it, right? It's practical.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to believe in that manuscript?
So when it comes to, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I don't know if you've ever heard about a lot of documents like this. Old documents have been fake. In other words, they're made to look old, and they make them look, brownish, and very old.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have been caught doing that. So just the fact that people are able to kind of try to fabricate stuff like that, and it has been done, and people have been caught. I just can't accept any story on a book. You know what I'm saying? Again, if it's scientific, if it's about physics, then I don't need to see a book. You just show me the experiment. You know what I'm saying?
So you would trust the experiment more than
Oh, than a
something
book.
that's physical,
Then a book.
right? And a
Well,
book
an
is
experiment
physical.
is physical. An experiment is physical.
So-
It has to be a physical experiment,
So when it
tangible.
comes to us experimenting,
like this.
the
like
measurement
length.
of the table, do you think that measurement is physical or is the table
It's-
physical?
Well, because the table is physical, we're doing a physical measurement. Because we're able to go 3 dimensions around it. We can even weigh it. We can measure the length. We can measure the width. We can measure the height. And again, the weight as well,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So maybe one way to think about it is like the measurement itself is not physical, but it is
Tied to something
it is
physical.
tied to something
It's a language
physical.
tied to something physical.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious then, with that in mind, would you say the experiment or the measurement would be physical then, or would it just be merely connected to that which is physical? Which is
Yeah. So the measurements could be physical if they're tied to something physical. But if they're not, then it's just theoretical. Those measurements are just theoretical.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to like a historical quote unquote discovery of manuscripts being 1,000 years ago,
Right.
you would say that that's not physical even though the manuscript is physical, you would say the measurement of it being 1,000 years is not physical, or
Okay,
would you
so
say
now
it is?
you're so I don't know if you knew time is just a concept.
Mm.
So time is based on the movement of the sun, you know. So the whole idea of a year comes from the movement of the sun, 365 days, you know, that's how many cycles, you know, for 1 year. So when you're talking about measuring time, now you're talking about measuring a concept.
Mm.
So again, it just gets more abstract to me now. Like,
Yeah,
so you tell me to
it's
believe
like
a timeline
It's
now.
not practical.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's say, imagine, for example, the sun goes poof just for a moment. It just stops existing.
Right.
Well,
Well, we'll,
like,
we'll
let's
all
say
be blind,
4
but
seconds.
yeah,
Yeah, 4
we
seconds.
won't be able to see nothing.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah,
4 seconds.
4
right?
seconds.
It goes away.
Completely dark.
And do you think that there would be time in the moment that the sun goes out, or no? So like for those 4 seconds,
It would
the
just.
sun
I
goes
think it
out.
would just be a moment.
Mhm.
Time again. We will have to find something to reference time. We'll have to
And
find
you would not
something else.
consider a moment's time, right? You would say
Moment
a
is reality. So time is just a concept of reality.
Right. And well, for specifically for that moment, do you think that is time, or in time, or is not time? What do you think is that moment? You know,
I think-
of the 4
yeah, yeah.
seconds. Maybe you're thinking of them combined.
Right. For a moment, I think it's just existing. It's just the present.
Right.
So basically, that's what a moment is to me. So life is just one big moment. If you think about it,
Mhm.
it's just one big moment.
Right. So think about the moment of 1,000 years in the future.
Okay.
Is that actually a moment, or?
Well, it's a moment that eventually will happen if the Earth is gonna last 1,000 cycles.
Right.
That moment should come.
So it's a
It's gonna be like
theoretical
this,
moment. Theoretical moment. It's
Theoretical
not
moment.
Actually, moment.
Yeah, that's a theoretical moment. Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
true.
how about the past? Is that a theoretical moment?
Well, now
or
you
is
have to place faith now.
something real?
Yeah, because it already happened. So now you have to place. The future is not certain. So that's why it could be theoretical. You could make plans. You know, you could change the future.
Right.
The past can't be.
Mm.
So if somebody's lying about the past, how are you gonna know?
Right.
That's why I don't choose
So
to
let's
lie.
say, for
To just
example,
be-
you know, you were sitting here an hour ago. Do you think that hour ago you were really sitting here, or was that something, or is that something you can't measure, something you can't? It's not practical, and so you don't know if you were actually sitting here an hour.
Well, because again, we have the sun. The sun didn't disappear. 15 degrees, the sun moves every hour. So if I'm here for an hour, that means the sun moved 15 degrees. So that the sun will be our reference point for time.
Right. So when it comes down to, let's say, a person existing 1,000 years apart from us, right? You would say that that's a reality, even though
They experience that reality. I don't know if they actually did. If you know, wherever you're showing me on a picture, or you know, I can accept that maybe that person did exist back then. But do I know that for a fact? No.
So would you say you know for a fact that you were sitting here an hour ago in the past?
Yeah.
But you would not.
Because I
know-
experienced it.
Yeah, because you would not. But then you would not know, for example, if that person, you know, 1,000 years ago
Was
would
it
actually
in a certain
really
place?
did
At a
exist.
certain, yeah.
Okay.
Because
see
I
what
didn't
you're
experience that yet.
saying. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really appreciating how you're really consistent with your views.
No, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's an amazing quality that I think a lot of people
Don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, that's true. A lot of people like flip flop back and forth. You know, like
Exactly.
you know, contradict themselves to another thing that happens a lot.
Right.
People contradict themselves a lot.
Right.
I try to stay consistent because I hate contradicting yourself, because that just makes you look more logical. Like you're just not making sense now. You know what I'm saying? So I try to stay consistent. You know, because it's part of having a constructive conversation. You know, to stay consistent. Because if you're going back and forth, then what are we really talking about? You know what I'm saying? If you're going back and forth, you know, you don't even have a stance where you stand. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, having a conversation to me is like the best thing we could do as humans. So, you know, that's how we learn.
It's amazing.
That's how we grow. That's how we get our views challenged.
Yeah.
You know, and if you never have your views challenged, then you're never gonna learn.
Yeah.
You're never gonna grow.
I mean, do you mind if I get one of your social medias, and maybe we can
Yeah.
talk again sometime?
Here you go.
Um,
Here's mine. I have a YouTube channel right there. on
Okay.
top.
Yeah?
you could- yeah.
all right, it was a great discussion
Yeah.
with you. I
Yeah.
want to
Thank
let
you.
you.
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for
God bless
that was really good. Thank you.
Told them to be back.
Yeah, you did. All right, so kind of got me in the middle of a. Okay, so since everything's out already, I'm gonna try to rush through it a little bit. So you guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
3 very easy
Not me.
questions. Okay, it's fine. So the first one's the hardest, but then they get easier. So I have 2 images here. Let me see. Actually, if you don't mind, can I switch the battery on this one? Yeah, sorry about that. Oh yeah. So. Yeah, I'm already running out of. Oh. Let me turn it off first.
No.
Do you post all of these on YouTube?
Most of them, yeah. I'm actually live streaming on this one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right.
How often do you come out here?
To this university is my third time here,
Third time?
but I try to go out in the public,
Uh-huh.
have conversations like at least once a week.
Okay.
At least, but sometimes I get busy. I still have to work and stuff. So, yeah. So, all right. So, real quick. So, two images here. One of them's a photograph and one of them's a painting. So, I want to see if people can tell the difference.
I feel like this is
Yeah, painting, photograph.
Okay. All right. So it was a trick question. They're both paintings. Yeah. So this is an oil painting and this is a digital painting done on an iPad. I don't expect people to get this one. Oh yeah, these are super realistic, right? So I don't expect people to get this one right because it's impossible, right? But there is two reasons why I asked this question. They have to do with common sense. So the first one is just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, right? Because you believe me that once a photograph, that influences your choice, right? So it's not good to just believe someone, especially when it comes to determining something is real. So the second reason is if we want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough because if I showed you an image of me flying or me walking on water, would you believe I could do those things?
No.
No, that's obvious, right? Because it defies physics. So these next two actually have to do with physics, elementary physics, actually. So they actually have to do with water.
Okay.
So once water is contained like in this bottle, could we agree that always seeks the lowest point? In other words, it always goes to the bottom. Because I could turn the bottle any direction, but water always goes down. That's a fact, right? It can't be denied. So since we understand that fact about water, it always goes down. How I'm showing you these two images, I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier. How I'm showing you these, which one is upside down? Since we understand water always goes down. One of these two images, how I'm showing them to you, is upside down. We understand water always goes down. Which one's upside down? Again, the water's blue.
You're gonna trick me again.
No, it's not a trick question. I mean,
That's the.
it's not a trick question, this one. But yeah, okay. You agree with him?
Yeah, I was just mainly focusing on the grips.
Oh, no. The grips, they're just to kind of throw you off.
Oh, okay.
So I actually took this one like that. You got it. I took it holding it up against the ceiling. So I had to grip this one too, because then it'll be too easy, you know what I'm saying? I had to make them look both the same. But yeah, you got it, because the water can't stick to the top of the bottle, you know? You got it. So this next one, have you ever heard of water always finds its level?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? What could be another word for level? You had to use a different word.
No, I wouldn't know.
Horizontal?
Okay.
Or even, you know, like an even surface, right? That's the literal definition of level. So again, since we understand, you know, water always finds its level, you know, when it's contained, which one of these two represents level correctly when it comes to water?
B.
Which one do you think?
I'll go with that. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay. You think this means level, water level?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you agree with him, or you think this? Honestly, which one do you think is level?
This one just because it seems.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you think it A and you think it B, right?
Yeah, I think it's B.
Okay, so you got it right. Obviously, this is what I mean. No, I'm glad you're kind of trolling a little bit because over 95% of the population, you actually believe is this one. I used to too.
I mean, I chose this one because we can't assume that the ground is flat all the time. So.
Well, this is water, like a pool, like a giant lake. Like if we had measured a surface of a lake,
Oh, okay.
right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, you were close, but the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population have been tricked to believing this is the answer, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know why? You guys believe the Earth is a ball? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. So if we multiply that times 2, we get the diameter. We multiply the diameter times pi, we get the circumference. So the circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles. That's what they're telling us. So there needs to be curvature every mile. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop. Second mile, 32 inches. By the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, build a level structure over it, there should be 6 feet of curvature on that lake. But if we understand how water behaves, that surface of the water is going to be parallel to the level, because that's what water does.
Oh.
So if I was to, this would be the number one experiment to debunk the globe. But if I was to ask you guys, what's the number one proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
Isn't it because of the, what's it called, the shadows? Like I know someone like.
So you're talking about the experiment. I'm not sure his name, but
forgot
the
his name,
Sticks
but
and
like,
Shadows
yeah.
experiment, right?
Okay,
so about that experiment, so what they did with that experiment, they already assumed, they made 2 assumptions before doing that experiment. The first assumption is that the sun is 93 million miles away, really, really far away, so that the sun rays are coming in parallel. So that's the first assumption they're doing. The second assumption is they already assumed the Earth was a globe. So what they did there, that measurement with the shadows, they were measuring for the circumference. So the degree and change in the shadow, based on the distance from the 2 points, is how they were able to theoretically measure the circumference of the Earth, based on the assumption that the Earth was already a sphere and that the sun rays are coming in parallel. So, but in reality, sun rays don't come in parallel, and the Earth is not a sphere. So those are 2 assumptions that were made before the Sticks and Shadows experiment. So it's a faulty experiment. So if that experiment truly is true, then we should be able to physically measure it like this very easy. You know what I'm saying? So, is there any other points about the globe that makes you believe, that? Real quick, I mean, the horizon. How would you guys describe the horizon? These are images of the horizon, 20 miles in the sky, without a GoPro lens.
Flat.
Right, horizontal, right? Can we say that's where the word horizon comes from, if you ask me, So the only place you're ever gonna see curvature of the Earth is through a GoPro lenses, like fisheye lens, they curve horizontal lines, or through CGI images, like NASA does. These are NASA official images. So this one's from 2012 and this one's from 2002, and they admit that these are Photoshop, all of them. So no image of the Earth from outer space like this exists. So they're all cartoons, basically. So in my opinion, any space agency or NASA basically are Disney for adults, basically. So it's just cartoons. So because if this is real, we should be able to measure it down here. You know what I'm saying? So I came across this 6 years ago in 2016, and it started getting censored in 2019, which is one of the reasons why I'm out here. So the way they're censoring this is they're not removing this. What they're doing is they're demoting it on Google's, on the search engine and YouTube, and they're promoting a bunch of these experts or scientists, supposedly experts, and they're just ridiculing it and dismissing it. So that's how they're censoring it. They're just making fun of it. They're not taking it serious, because if they actually did take it serious, the globe will fall apart. You know what I'm saying? So you guys heard of this topic before? I'm pretty sure you guys have, right? You guys heard of flat Earth, right?
Yeah.
I try to stay away from that word because it's kind of a trigger word. So if people hear that word and they run away, literally, or they're, oh, this guy's an idiot, and they just walk away. They automatically have a wall built in front of them, so none of the information comes in. So, but yeah, I mean, flat Earth, again, it's not flat. The Earth is level, demonstrably level. Have you guys ever heard of Euclidean plane geometry? So it's the geometry assumed to build everything we see. So from railroads to bridges to anything. So it's assuming that the Earth is a level plane. That's where Euclidean plane geometry comes in. We don't use spherical geometry to build long distances, so railroads, all that. So they don't take account for curvature. Not even when it comes to flying or navigation. Airplanes fly level over a plane. That's what they're called, airplanes. They fly in straight lines. That's the best way to save fuel. So yeah, everything proves that the Earth is not a ball. Everything. And anything practical. Now, when you're looking into theories and stories about the sky, then you could believe those stories if you like. People could just believe whatever they want. But I go with what I know, which is physics. And real quick, if you guys want to take a look at these are the 6 main proofs to debunk the globe. If you guys have any questions about them, before you guys go, you guys can ask me. And here's my card as well, my YouTube card, if you guys want to check it out. I do go to other universities as well. And I go to the public, just talk to people about this. Since it is being censored, I'm just bringing a conversation to the people. What do you guys think? Do you think it's possible that maybe we were lied to about this place?
I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, there's still unanswered.
A lot of
things.
unanswered questions.
Yeah.
A lot. And once you look into this, you're gonna get way more unanswered questions than you think. You know, and yeah. I mean, do you have any other questions before you guys go?
As of right now, no, I don't.
I know. It's kind of like out of the blue. Huh? I understand. No, yeah, kind of catching you off guard. But yeah, that's my card right there. If you guys come across something that that maybe could change my mind, you guys could leave a comment on there or something. You know.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so good one.
So
You too, thank you.
If you think the Earth is flat, what would happen at the ends of the Earth?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. So, let me show you.
Like, would you just fall off?
No. Where is it? Okay, so this is not what the Earth looks like, but this is what it would look like if what they're telling us is all that exists, right? All the continents, right? Because there could be more continents here. The continents could be different shape, Point being is, I don't know if you ever heard of the Antarctic Treaty. So over 50 countries signed this treaty that prevents any civilians from independently exploring Antarctica. So if Antarctica exists, they're telling us it's a sheet of ice underneath the globe. If Antarctica actually exists, it's that ring around the Earth. So it's what's containing the water. So that's where I think the word continent comes from the word container, because it has to contain the water. So if we start going south, again, I don't know if this treaty is being enforced or not, because I'm not a millionaire, I don't have a plane or a boat. But if you go south, supposedly they will stop you and arrest you, because there's a treaty signed that it's illegal to go this way. So a lot of people think that there could be other Earths if you just go this way. So like you're saying, well, what about the edge, right? And then, I mean, even if there was other Earths, in every direction, how far can you go, right? Like, is the Earth infinite, or is there a wall, some kind? So I understand your question. There's no answer to that question right now. But there is an Antarctic treaty preventing us from finding out what will happen. So circumnavigation, right? You heard of circumnavigation, right? So when somebody supposedly goes to China and then they come back around to the globe, right? So east and west on this map is just circles. So when people say, oh, we circumnavigated the Earth, of course it's a ball. No, you could circumnavigate a plane too around the center point. East and west just become circles. So nobody's ever circumnavigated the globe or the Earth north to south. So nobody's ever gone south and then underneath and over on a ball. And why do you think that is? Because it's impossible. You go south, you're not coming back. They just say that you're either gonna crash into some kind of wall, or who knows what the fuck's gonna happen. You might run out of fuel before you reach anything. I think it could just be blackness and ice, and we can only go so far. Think about it. If it's just frozen ice every direction and darkness, why the fuck would we want to go that way? So again, nobody knows what's at the edges of the Earth. And outer space is just a concept. So I know a lot of people think of flat Earth like a disc floating in outer space, right? Outer space is just a concept. So what's encompassing the Earth? Nobody knows. What's outside of the Earth? Nobody knows. The lights in the sky, the stars, they're just lights. I mean, nobody really knows what they are. Here, let me show you. This is what the stars look like when you zoom into them. So nobody knows what the stars are. Anybody trying to tell you what these stars are, and the planets are just stars. This is what the planets look like, and this is what NASA showed us. So this is what it actually looks like, Mars. And this is Jupiter, and this is what they show us, a cartoon. Anything about the sky, anybody telling you what it is just a religion. So nobody knows what the stars actually are, other than that they reset every year. That's why they're called constellations, because they're constant. And that actually debunks the globe, if you ask me, because if the globe was truly spinning, shooting through outer space, we should have a different night sky of the stars every night. Every night should be a different pattern, basically. But the fact that we have constellations, that proves that the Earth is not shooting through the galaxy.
So you don't think the Earth is rotating around the sun?
No, the sun is actually...
How do you explain seasonability and...
Seasons, right? Yeah. So the sun, let me just show you these real quick. Have you ever heard of corpuscular rays? So corpuscular rays are rays that come in at an angle through clouds, especially when there's clouds close to the sun. So these show us that people have triangulated the sun using these rays back in the day, and they estimated the sun to only be about 30 miles in diameter and only about 300 to 3,000 miles in the sky. So in comparison to the Earth, it's a very tiny sun. 30 miles in diameter, it's nothing compared to the Earth. And then only about 300 to 3,000 miles in the sky. So the sun's movement above us is what gives us the season. So for example, when we have our summer, the sun's doing a circle around this yellow line, for example,
So
and that's
you think, sorry, so you think the sun revolves around the Earth?
around the sun like this, and then when it's winter, it opens up, so it does this circle, the purple one. That's why Australia has summer when it's our winter, and we have summer when it's their winter.
Wait, so you think that it rotates like
It's like a clock.
and then
It opens up when it's our winter.
and then
It does
what
a
makes
big-
and then what makes it go back?
and then it goes back in again. That's just part of the cycle. It has a relationship with the north, the sun.
But how would you explain the cycle? What makes the cycle happen? Because
Oh, well, that's a mystery. I don't know. What's powering life right now? I don't know. It's whatever created this place made it happen that way. You know? But again, this is just theoretical based on how the movement of the sun and the sun rays, because not even this is 100%. But it's a better explanation than the globe. Do you know what the globe's explanation is to the seasons?
yeah, I was studying about it. Basically, like when you rotate, when you're at a certain point, the Earth moves slowly. So in June, winter solstice, something.
Yeah, so what creates the seasons for the globe is actually the 23.4 degree
Yeah.
tilt.
Yeah, it's
So that doesn't make any sense to me if you ask me, because if something's, millions and millions of miles away, a little tilt is not going to cause this much difference in heat, you know what I'm saying? But that's the explanation they give. But in reality, this was a more logical one. The sun obviously being a very tiny, small sun put above the earth to illuminate so that we could see. Because a lot of people say, oh, why is the sun round and the earth not round? Well, the sun is a light. The earth is not a light. the sun's there to give us vision, it's light so that we could see, so we can navigate this place, So, yeah, the sun has its purpose, and it's just to give us light. And then the moon, it could be the same thing for the night. It illuminates the night, so you're not walking into trees. You know what I'm saying?
So if you think the moon is the same, how do you explain the ocean? Because the ocean is tied to the moon.
Yeah, so they tell us that the waves from the ocean are caused by the gravity of the moon, but it doesn't make any sense because Earth is supposedly a bigger mass than the moon. So how can the smaller object affect the bigger object when it comes to gravity? You know what I'm saying? So the Earth should be holding that water in like nothing. You
Well,
know
I
what
mean,
I'm saying?
it depends on the
No,
on
the-
like,
just-
the distance. Sorry.
Yeah.
On the distance, because other planets they're much bigger, but they can't hold it.
Right. Well, that's what they tell us again, but this is what the planets look. It's just lights in the sky, and they're not even millions of miles away. Because this was using an 83 times zoom camera, so 83 times zoom is very limited. So we shouldn't be able to bring them into focus. So if you ask me, these lights, again, planets and stars, they're literally no more than a couple thousand miles in the sky. So I think there's a ceiling above us. I don't know what kind of ceiling it is or if it ever comes, like, I don't know, but they're just lights in the sky. Again, anybody telling you what they are, it's just a religion. Christianity would say that they're angels. The stars are angels. and NASA will tell you that they're Earth-like planets with water, and I'm pretty sure the Quran will tell you something else, that they are, So, but again, nobody knows what they are. Other than that they're constant, they're just like a clock revolving above us, like a calendar in a way above us. That's pretty much it. All right. All right.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Thanks for the talk.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. God damn. Man, I have a mess right here. I can't even keep this slides in order before somebody else comes. Okay, I'm gonna try to organize these. Okay. These are back here. These are right here. Yeah, I'm gonna start showing these cartoons now. Whenever I say you're only gonna see curvature in GoPro lenses and in CGI cartoons, I'll be showing these now. Oh my god, where's the background here? Oh my god. I know. I thought about that. She got helicopters. I thought about showing the two images of, that I've been showing with one of the globe ones. So show three, and one of them being the globe, and then at the end telling them they're all paintings. So no, I thought about that, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like showing the globe in the beginning kind of like trigger, you know, automatic responses after that. So I don't know. I might try it in the future though. Yeah, I'll probably see if I can have one more conversation, and if not, I'll probably call it. The phone's at 40%. Over 2 hours in. Yeah, there's a lot of students passing around. Oh, and that guy did come back. He came. It was the last conversation. He came back, but there was another guy here. But then that other group left, and then the one that came back from the beginning, he's the one that stood to the end. Pretty cool. Nah, this is a good spot right here. It's a really good spot. So definitely this spot and the spot where I was at the last time were two good spots. Looks like down that way it might be a good spot as well. There's a lot of students walking over there. I know. I think I do have a spirit level in here. I haven't brought it out in a while. I should bring it out. Yeah, I'm near the food court. That's why a lot of students are walking through here. Oh yeah, it's right here. I should put it right here on the table. Oh my god. Getting a little chilly. That's true, always improving. The sun could just be, it could be a reflection of something too. So the position of the sun might not be where it looks like it is, basically. But yeah, we don't even know what it is. It's probably not even physical. It's probably just the light being reflected from somewhere else or illuminated from somewhere else. And so yeah, what is the sun? I don't know. Besides the light that enables us to see. Yeah. probably another 15, 20 more minutes. A lot of students are reading the table, that's for sure. So I wanted to share my thoughts on some of my thoughts about money. See if anybody comes up. About money and how most people think the more money you have, the more independent you are. But the opposite is actually true. Because the more money you have, the more dependent you are. Because now that you have all that money, you're now dependent on others to do a job for you. So, in other words, the more money you have, the more dependent you are, not only in the system, but on others, which, essentially is the system doing things for you. So, yeah, this whole money thing is like a double-edged sword, People think that it's like, oh, you need a lot of money to be independent and to live free, right? The irony behind that, it's crazy. The more money you have, the more dependent you are. The more you rely on the system, the more you rely on others to do things for you, So true independence literally comes back to getting all the necessities yourself. All your necessities you have to, attain, if you ask me. That's the only way to truly be free and independent. An economy should exist for your wants, not for your needs, because the second that economy becomes about your needs, that's when you become a slave to it, and I'm pretty sure pretty sure that's how it happened, little by little, and that's how we're in the situation we're in now. There's no other way I could think of it coming to this to this bad, so it could be this bad. Then people just bought into it, and got comfortable little by little, and now we're in the position we're in. So the way I see it is, if you truly want to be independent and free, money is not the way. But if you have some kind of plan that money could be utilized to fulfill this plan, then by all means, but if you still rely on money, at the end of the day, you're still relying on others, which in my opinion obviously makes you dependent and not independent. So all these rich people, all these millionaires, billionaires, right, that think they're the shit, like, oh my god, like, you're the most needy motherfuckers that are out there. The rich, right, the millionaires, the billionaires, they're the most needy motherfuckers. That's just a fact. But yeah, you guys have any thoughts on that? Maybe any contradicting thoughts? Yeah, for sure. So yeah, my court date's coming up in about a month, less than a month now. So I'm a little nervous, little ancient, not ancient. What's the word? Impatient. I'm a little impatient too. Anxious. That's the word. Anxious, not ancient. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. But what sucks too is that the stupid officers that arrested me didn't even have body cams. So that tells me that they're not, trained in public photography. The fact that they don't have body cams, they're probably used to just doing whatever they want, since there's no repercussions, no evidence, right? So that sucks that the officers don't have body cams, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully they don't delete none of my footage. It's 2 different cameras, so 2 different angles. But yeah, let's see how that goes. Yeah, it's kind of dying out here a little bit. Shifty eyes, that's true. You could get a lot of money and get your necessities, but I would say that you need to have like some kind of plan with that money, like building your own farm, for example, something that you could actually maintain once that money's gone. Because once that money's gone and you go back to getting money again to get your necessities, then there's no different than what we're living now. You know what I'm saying? The whole point is, yeah, you could get a bunch of money for your necessities, but you need to have a plan to not go back to the money. Again, the money should be there for your wants. It should be optional for things that you want to experience, things you want to do, not things that you need, But yeah, that'll be a way more ideal, situation if you ask me, Don't get money involved into the necessities, People should do for their own and yeah. But yeah, I mean, people, they're just too comfortable nowadays, so it seems far-fetched, but yeah, once everybody has food and shelter, everything else just comes after. If we were as a society just focus on food and shelter, everybody would have a house and food every day if we actually focused on that as a society as a whole. Easily everybody could have a house, a 2-story house. You can have, here's the thing about overpopulation. I don't know, a lot of you have done the math, but the state of Texas, okay, 1 square mile is 640 acres. Just so you guys can get an idea. 640 acres in 1 mile. So technically, in 1 square mile, if people got half an acre of land, each person got half an acre of land, in 1 square mile you can fit 1,280 people, 1,280 people with half an acre of land in 1 square mile. The state of Texas alone is over 260,000 square miles. All right? Guess how many people could fit in the state of Texas with half an acre each person? Over 340 million people could fit in the state of Texas with a half of acre of land. That's the whole U.S. population in the state of Texas with a half an acre of land each. Now, I don't obviously condone for everybody go to Texas and live right next to everybody. No, that's just to paint the picture of how much land there actually is. So just so you could get an idea, this is basic math, over 260,000 square miles, half an acre of land each person. You could fit over 340 million people, just in the state of Texas. Like, it's just insane. Like, the fact that people think, I mean, obviously cities are overpopulated. That's a given. That's obvious, but it doesn't have to be, and it goes back to fucking cult mentalities, cult behaviors, people just wanting to be part of a group, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, overpopulation is obviously a myth. It's just there to make you accept this life we're living, basically. I mean, all the lies coming from mainstream, are just there to keep us still, just so we don't do anything. They just want you to do what they want you to do. They don't want you to do what you want to do. Imagine that's crazy. I know, and there could be more land than we know, So it's just insane to think that we're overpopulating this place. It's like insane. And that's if you believe that there's actually 8 billion people in this area that we're told, who's counting those numbers? I don't know. Alright, pretty dead. For sure, I'm not gonna go past 4 p.m. It's 3:39. I'm about to be 3:40, so for sure another 15 minutes or so, and I'll be calling it. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, probably just wait like 5 more minutes. I'm gonna have to use the restroom pretty soon. Ooh. There's another one thing that kind of sucks about the cold weather and doing this is that everybody knows that when it's cold, it makes you want to pee more. So I hadn't really experienced having to pee so often while I'm at the table, but because of the weather. Happens. Ooh. I didn't realize, but there are some students, and again, it's not racist or anything, but mostly Asian wearing masks. Because that's kind of like a norm, kind of like in Asian countries to wear a mask when you're sick. Even before COVID, they will always wear masks when they were sick. So it could be that, back to the car. Alright, see you on the next one, Michael. Alright, I think that's gonna be a wrap. Alright. thanks again to everybody that tuned in. Had some pretty good conversations today. One of them went a little longer than expected, but it was still good. So I'll be uploading the edited versions sometime tomorrow or the next day. And I'm not sure when I'll be going live on the next one, but we'll see. Yeah, thanks again. All right, see you guys on the next one.